Chapter 639. Your son is too cheap. The palace mistress was obviously stunned by Yoon Chujie's sudden change in demeanor. She was stunned for a moment, then she sneered and said, "Humph. I knew this little trash had bad intentions. Turns out you're really here for Baiming's money. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones should suffice, right? These spirit stones are enough for you to use in Qingshan continent for a lifetime." Yoon Chujie curled her lips and said, "Palace mistress, aren't you being too stingy? Since you're so insincere, then we don't have much to discuss anymore. You're truly insatiable. 20,000 is fine, right?" The palace mistress looked at Yoon Chujie's shameless appearance and was so angry that she was grinding her teeth. It was a pity that she had been warned by Di Baiming, otherwise she would definitely slap Yoon Chujie to death. 20,000? Your son is only worth 20,000 high-grade spirit stones? Isn't that too little? Yoon Chujie said as she took out a supreme-grade spirit stone from her storage ring and tossed it around. The palace mistress cried out in shock, "Little trash, where did you get this supreme-grade spirit stone? Did Baiming give it to you? Right. You little trash, you are indeed a wastrel. Not only did you seduce my son to read that shameless book, you even asked him to give you such a valuable supreme-grade spirit stone. Give it back to me." Yoon Chujie dodged her in a flash, and another supreme-grade spirit stone appeared in her hand. "I have a lot of these things, so I really don't like the 20,000 you offered. How about this? If you give me 1 billion supreme-grade spirit stones, I'll consider giving up on Brother Baiming. How about that?" The palace mistress felt a headache coming on, so she decided to change her strategy. She softened her tone. "Little trash. Little Miss Ju. Sai, you're not too useless, but you have to understand my feelings as a mother. Your family background is really not compatible for our Baiming. Moreover, you have a heavenly lightning root spirit that the heavens doesn't allow. This will indirectly bring a lot of danger to Baiming. If you like him, you would want him to be happy, right? I won't pursue the things that Baiming gave you. I'll also compensate you with an additional 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. From now on, you two should sever your ties. If one day you really ascend to the Tianyuan continent, I'll definitely take care of you. How about it?" Yoon Chujie blinked her eyes. She sighed. "Palace mistress, if you had said so earlier, I would have agreed. This human heart is made of flesh and blood, and your motherly heart is truly touching. Forget it, since you're so reasonable, I won't be unreasonable anymore. You can just transfer 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to me." Hearing Yoon Chujie's words, the palace mistress was very pleased with herself. "She's just an ignorant little girl and was tricked by me with just a few words. Forget it. 100,000 spirit stones as repayment for the cost of enlightening my foolish son." The palace mistress immediately transferred 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to Yoon Chujie. Then she said, "In a while after I remove the isolation array, you will tell Baiming that you don't like him at all and that you're with him in order to obtain more spirit stones. From now on, the two of you will sever your ties. Do you understand?" Yoon Chujie nodded her head obediently. "Yes, I understand. I will definitely tell him the truth word for word." The palace mistress was very satisfied. In fact, if this little girl's family background was not too bad and she had her special root spirit, she could still be considered passable. The palace mistress immediately removed the isolation array. Di Baiming was waiting anxiously. When he saw that Yoon Chujie was safe and sound, he was relieved. "Baiming, little Jio has something to say to you," the palace mistress said with a smile. She was very proud in her heart. She was just a little girl from a lower realm. She was really too easy to deal with. Chapter 640. Shameless and invincible. Di Baiming's heart sank. He looked at Yoon Chujie and asked, "Little Jio, what do you want to tell me?" Yoon Chujie carefully looked at the palace mistress and said timidly, "Palace mistress, do I really have to say it?" The palace mistress nodded at her encouragingly and said, "Yes. You have to say it sooner or later." Yoon Chujie gritted her teeth as if she had made up her mind, and then she said, "In a while after I remove the isolation array, you will tell Baiming that you don't like him at all and that you're with him in order to obtain more spirit stones. From now on, the two of you will sever your ties. Do you understand?" "Prince Charming, these are all things that the palace mistress had asked me to say just now. She said that if I didn't say that, she would skin me alive, pull out my tendons and scatter my soul. Sob sob. I'm so scared." Yoon Chujie was crying as she spoke. Di Baiming's heart ached as he hugged Yun Chujio in his arms. He looked at the palace mistress with a cold expression. Mother, you've gone too far. Even if you don't agree for me to be with little Jiao, you shouldn't scare her like this. The palace mistress almost fainted from anger. She pointed at Yun Chujio while trembling. Little trash. You promised me just now, but you actually made a false accusation instead, you scoundrel. Yun Chujio wiped away her tears and said innocently, Palace mistress, what did I promise? Didn't you say that my family background is too poor and that I'm not a good match with Brother Baiming? Moreover, I have the heavenly thunder root spirit which is not tolerated by the heavens. It will indirectly bring a lot of danger to Brother Baiming, so you want me to be apart from Brother Baiming? This is what I said, but haven't you already promised to part with Baiming? The palace mistress had never met Yun Chujio, who was very shameless. Usually all the girls were respectful to her and there was no such weirdo. Brother Baiming, I promised the palace mistress just now as a temporary measure. If I didn't agree with her, she would have killed me. There's nothing I can do. Brother Baiming, don't worry. Even if heaven and earth unite, I will not part ways with you. Yun Chujio looked at Di Baiming lovingly. Di Baiming's heart softened. At that moment he felt that it was not impossible for his unreliable mother to visit them again. At the very least it would allow Black Thing to speak more truthfully. When the palace mistress saw Di Baiming and Yun Chujio exchanging glances, she was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She pointed at Yun Chujio with a trembling finger and scolded, Baiming, don't listen to her nonsense. She accepted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones from me and agreed to leave you. She's going for your spirit stones. Yun Chujio had a magnanimous expression on her face. That's right, I accepted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones from you. Didn't you say that it was a welcome gift for me? Although it's very little, I'm not very picky. The palace mistress was stunned by Yun Chujio's shamelessness. There was such a shameless person in this world. To think that she could say such things without changing her expression. A welcome gift for you. Where's your honor? I wish I could slap you to death, yet you think I'm giving you a welcome gift. And Feng lit a candle for the palace mistress. At first, I thought that Miss Ju was going to be in trouble this time. I didn't expect that, cough cough, some people can be so shameless and invincible in this world. I don't believe that the palace mistress would give her a greeting gift even if you beat me to death. She must have defrauded her in some way. Brother Baiming, actually the palace mistress is sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. Although she said it fiercely, she's a very good person. She gave me a greeting gift of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones and even repeatedly reminded me not to tell you. If she hadn't let the cat out of the bag, I would have definitely kept this secret. Yun Chujio held Di Baiming's arm and said sweetly. Chapter 641. I don't mind changing my words in advance. The corners of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. It would be strange if he believed Yun Chujio's nonsense. However, he still smiled faintly and said, Mother, thank you very much. Since you've already given us the greeting gift and met her, can you go back now? The palace mistress was already extremely furious. It had been so many years, and this was the first time she had suffered such a huge loss. It was not even a matter of money. It was just too depressing. Little trash. I did not expect you to have so many tricks up your sleeve. Since we've already said it out loud, I will not hide it anymore. Baiming, I will say it here today. I will never allow this little trash to enter our D family. The palace mistress smashed the stone table beside her with one palm. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. This old witch and gigolo were really a family. They both liked to bang on the stone table. Could it be that this old witch also liked to kick doors? Mother, this is also the last time I will tell you. In this life I will never marry anyone other than little Jiao. If you have any thoughts that you shouldn't have, I will never forgive you in this life. Di Baiming said with a cold expression. The palace mistress was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. She knew that once her son made a decision, even 100 bulls would not be able to pull him back. She could only start with this little trash and make her give up on her own accord. However, this little trash was so sly that she would not hold back, and he was so stubborn that he would not let her go. It was really infuriating. The palace mistress said with a cold smile, Little trash, you really have some skills. You have Baiming so mesmerized that he doesn't even acknowledge me as his mother. Palace mistress, how can you say that? Big brother Baiming has been calling you his mother. If you feel that there aren't enough people addressing you like that, I don't mind changing the way I address you. How about I call you my mother too? Yun Chujio said with a smile. The palace mistress felt like her head was about to explode. How can there be such a shameless person in this world? I'm really furious. Don't worry, you little piece of trash. I won't do anything to you. But since you really like Baiming, you should think of him. You don't want others to laugh at him for finding a wastrel wife in the future, right? It's not impossible for you to enter our D family. As long as you complete one thing, I won't stop you. A marriage with the blessing of your family is better than one in hiding, right? The palace mistress was silent for a long while before she finally thought of a good idea. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said with a smile, "Thank you for giving me a chance, palace mistress." "What is it?" "It's very simple." Chapter 642. Let me be struck to death by lightning. When Di Baiming heard the palace mistress' words, he frowned. "Little Jiu, you don't have to listen to my mother. Brother Baiming, have you also attended Tianyuan Academy?" Yun Chujio interrupted Di Baiming's words and suddenly asked with sparkling eyes. Humph. Baiming was the most outstanding child in the Tianyuan continent. Naturally, he graduated from the Tianyuan Academy. Moreover, he had always been ranked first on the Tianyuan Academy's Tian honor roll during his enrollment period. After graduation, he had also occupied the first place on the Tianyuan Academy's ranking board. How could such an outstanding son of mine be with a little trash like you? When the palace mistress talked about Di Baiming, her eyes were filled with pride. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. "Palace mistress, I wonder if you would be able to keep your word? As long as I can enter the top 100 of the Tian honor roll, you won't stop me from dating Brother Baiming?" The palace mistress curled her lips in disdain. "Of course. I'm just afraid that you won't dare to agree." "All right. I agree." Yun Chujio's small face was full of pride. "It's only the top 100 in the Tian honor roll. I'll give you first place and blind your snobbish eyes." The palace mistress sneered again and again. This little girl really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. People from such a low-tier world like the Qingxian continent who had ascended to the Tianyuan continent were already discriminated against in the Tianyuan continent. Although this little girl's heavenly thunder root spirit sounded good, to be able to ascend before the age of 30 would take a lot of luck. You've really overestimated yourself. Little girl, there's no point in just agreeing like this. We have to have a time limit. How about this? Let's have a 5-year limit. If you can enter the top 100 list within 5 years, I won't ask about you and Baiming anymore. What if you can't do it within 5 years? The palace mistress felt that it was simply impossible to achieve. The little girl probably would not be able to even reach the 5th level of the Spirit Emperor realm within 5 years, much less enter the top 100 placing in the Tian honor roll of the Tianyuan Academy. If I can't do it, I won't bother Big Brother Baiming anymore. If I don't keep my word, then let me be struck to death by lightning. Yun Chujio said with a serious expression, secretly laughing in her heart. Just because I won't bother Prince Charming doesn't mean that he won't bother me. The thunder can strike me to death, if it even has the ability to. How would the palace mistress know that there were twists and turns in this? Although she knew that Yun Chujio had the heavenly thunder root spirit, she still felt that she was only slightly stronger than an ordinary person. How could she not be afraid of being struck by lightning? Thus, the palace mistress nodded her head with satisfaction. "All right. It's a deal. During this period, I will introduce other girls to Baiming. If you can't take it, then give up as soon as possible." "Mother, I don't want to see any of those idiots in the future. If you continue to pretend to be sick and force me to participate in some nonsense banquet, I will move out," Di Baiming said with a cold face. "It was not easy for me to explain to Black Thing about what happened last time. Isn't this just adding to my troubles?" The palace mistress was so angry that she gritted her teeth. "What idiots? Which one of them isn't better than this little trash? They have the family background, spiritual power and looks. You're really pissing me off." Yun Chujio stood at the side with a gentle look on her face. She cursed in her heart, "Old witch, just you wait. I'll show you how good this gigolo's inside is. For him to be able to marry me is simply a blessing that he has cultivated over 8 lifetimes." The palace mistress glared at Yun Chujio fiercely and comforted herself, "Take it slow. This son of mine is stubborn. Since he's already enlightened, I don't believe that those girls can't be compared to this little trash." Chapter 643. First destroy, then establish. Mother, in any case I want like anyone other than little Gio. You don't have to waste your energy. Di Biming said with a cold face. The palace mistress was so angry that she almost fell on her back. This son of hers had always had an inexpressive demeanor since he was young. The older he grew, the fussier he became. He had never spoken to me properly before. Now because of this little trash he's even speaking coldly to me. It's simply infuriating. Little trash, remember what you said. Let's go. The palace mistress felt that if she stayed any longer she would probably be even more upset. At most she would wait for another 5 years. At that time I'll see what she has to say. Palace mistress, aren't you going to stay and have some food before you leave? My roasted meat is very delicious. Yun Chujio said with a smile. I'm afraid that I'll be poisoned to death by you. You scoundrel. No matter how the palace mistress looked at Yun Chujio, she did not like her. She wanted to slap her to death. Yun Chujio said dejectedly, all right. Since the palace mistress doesn't like it, please take care. You're welcome to visit me often. Next time, you don't have to give me such an expensive greeting gift. Just bring me some pastries and spirit fruits. I'm not picky. The palace mistress staggered and turned around to glare at her fiercely. Then she turned around and got on the flying spirit tool. Manager Luo gestured for the 8 servant girls to put away the carpet. Yun Chujio waved her claws and said, if this thing has been used once, can it still be used next time? How dirty it is. The palace mistress definitely won't use it a second time. Don't keep it. The palace mistress gritted her teeth and said from the flying spirit tool, no. Let's go. As soon as the palace mistress finished speaking, she heard Yun Chujio say cheerfully, that's great. I picked up a blanket for nothing. It doesn't look cheap at first glance too. Brother Biming, we can roll around on it tonight. The palace mistress said angrily to Manager Luo, let's set off immediately. I don't want to see this little trash again. After the flying spirit tool flew away, Yun Chujio sighed. Prince Charming, you won't blame me, right? I didn't mean to make your mother angry. It's just that, no matter what I do, she always has a preconceived idea and doesn't like me. So, I might as well show my true nature so that I won't be exposed in the future. Di Biming touched his forehead. My mother's health has always been bad, so my father and I are obedient to her. It's inevitable that our temperaments will be a little special. You're so cute, she'll definitely accept you sooner or later. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Bad health. The old witch I saw was as strong as a calf. Anyway, she doesn't like me, so why not just break it down and make a new one? First, I'll give her the worst impression. Then I'll treat her a little better and she'll feel that I've improved. The next day, Di Biming received a voice transmission talisman from the palace mistress. It was nothing more than to say that she had fallen ill again and that he should go back immediately. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Prince Charming, you should go back. What if she's really sick? Even if she's faking it, you have not gone back for a long time. There must be a lot of things to deal with. You should go back. Don't worry about me. Alright, I will. I will come to see you in a few days. You should cultivate well and don't cause any trouble. Di Biming's heart warmed. Black Thing was really getting more and more sensible. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. Don't worry, I will definitely cultivate well. Prince Charming, I will miss you. You must miss me too. Di Biming saw Yun Chujio's obedient little appearance and his heart softened. He wished that he could be with her all the time and not part from her at all. Chapter 644. The Wheel of Fortune turns. After Di Biming left, Yun Chujio was indeed well behaved and focused on her cultivation. The arrival of the palace mistress made Yun Chujio feel a sense of urgency. Whether it was for herself, the Yun family, or the gigolo, she had to focus on her cultivation. Only when she became stronger would she have the right to speak. However, this fellow thought of something while she was cultivating. During the ancient mine trial, Su Yenran, that little bitch, had brought people to hunt her down. She had yet to settle the score with the Heavenly Gates sect. It was a good opportunity to get the Great Void Mirror Fragment from Heavenly Gates sect. This way she could temporarily pacify the Great Void Mirror and have it keep an eye on the strange grass for her. Hence, Yun Chujio sat on the chopping board and went to Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan, has the supply of earth fire for the Heavenly Gates sect stopped? Master Xianyuan nodded. That's right. It has stopped for some time. I think Du Gai should be coming over to negotiate soon. Master Xianyuan, if that old bastard Du Gai comes over, let me talk to him. Yun Chujio said slyly. Master Xianyuan knew that Yun Chujio had a lot of tricks and would definitely not be at a disadvantage. Moreover, it was mainly to vent Yun Chujia's anger, so he naturally agreed without hesitation. A few days later, Du Gai arrived at the Spirit Radiance sect to negotiate. When Yun Chujio hopped into the living room, she saw Du Gai and a few elders sitting on the guest seats. When Du Gai saw Yun Chujio, he wished he could strangle her to death. This wretched girl was really lucky. This time, not only did he not succeed in stealing the chicken, but had also lost a handful of rice. 1. Not only did he not kill her, but he had also provoked the Spirit Radiance sect. He was probably going to lose something again. Sect leader Du Gai, how are you? Teske, the wheel of fortune has really turned. I remember that not too long ago you said that I killed Zhang Xiong and the others to threaten our Spirit Radiance sect. Now the situation is exactly the same. Your Heavenly Gates sect can either hand Su Yenran over to me and let me strangle her to death, or pay us an additional 10% of your Spirit Stone share. You can choose one. Yun Chujio hid behind Elder Chu as she revealed her small head and said. Du Gai tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart. Yun Chujio, you're alive and kicking. Didn't you not die? Oh, from what you're saying, you're very disappointed that I didn't die, aren't you? You're really black-hearted. It seems that even 1/10 is unable to make up for the trauma in my heart. 1/5. Yun Chujio said in a huff. You're asking for too much and taking advantage of the situation. Du Gai was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Isn't there another option? You can hand Su Yenran over to me. I'll slap her to death and this matter will be over. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Nonsense. How can our Heavenly Gates sect disregard the safety of our disciple? Don't even think about it. Su Yenran had already cultivated to the 6th level of the Spirit Cultivator realm, and her speed was even more terrifying than her Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. Du Gai was still hoping that Su Yenran would soar to the skies, so how could he bear to hand her over to the Spirit Radiance sect just like that? Moreover, he was the one who gave the order to kill Yun Chuju this time, so he could not hand over his own disciple to take the blame. Since you're not handing over Su Yenran, then you can choose to give your own 1/5 of the Spirit Stones. Anyway, only Spirit Radiance sect has Earth Fire. If you don't want it, then we won't hand it over. Yun Chujio was very arrogant. This was the benefit of a monopoly. Even if you had Spirit Stones, you could not buy them anywhere else. Du Gai took a deep breath and no longer paid attention to Yun Chujio. He looked at Master Xinyuan. Master Xinyuan, the ancient mine incident was all a misunderstanding. Moreover, nothing happened to Yun Chujio. Why don't our sect compensate your sect with 10 million low-grade Spirit Stones? Let's put this matter behind us. Chapter 645. I'm just too soft-hearted. Master Xinyuan smiled. Master Du, the victim of this matter is Yun Chujio, so Yun Chujio's opinion represents the opinion of our Spirit Radiance sect. Du Gai was so angry that he almost choked and fainted. Why did this old man Xinyuan place so much importance on Yun Chujio? Oh right. This stinky girl Yun Chujio actually had the Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. This stinky girl hid it well enough. If it were not for this ancient mind trial, they would not have known that she actually had Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. Du Gai could only look at Yun Chujio once again and squeezed out a smile as he said, "Little girl, what happened before was all a misunderstanding. Our 4 great sects are all of one spirit and branch. Don't be too ruthless in doing things so that we won't meet each other in the future." Sect leader Du Gai, what you said does make some sense. Then let's leave it at 1/10. I'm just too soft-hearted and can't stand to see an old man cry. The corner of Du Gai's eyes twitched. You're really shameless. Then why are you soft-hearted? That black heart of yours is even harder than a rock. Moreover, which eye of yours saw me cry? Stinky girl. Sooner or later I'll kill you. Little girl, this 10% is really too much. Let's make it 10 million low-grade Spirit Stones. Although Du Gai hated her to death in his heart, he still forced a smile on his face. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. 10 million? Are you trying to send a beggar away? Is my life only worth this little money? If it wasn't for my quick escape, I would have died long ago. 1/10 of the Spirit Stones, or else there's no need to discuss. Anyway, we don't have to worry about selling our Earth Fire. It's good that your Heavenly Gates sect doesn't buy it. Yun Chujio was as arrogant as she could be. When Du Gai saw that Yun Chujio was unmoved, his expression turned ugly once again. He turned to look at Master Xinyuan. Master Xinyuan, you're not going to let a little girl mess around, are you? Master Xinyuan smiled faintly. Du Gai, your sect's attitude last time was much worse than this. If it wasn't for our Spirit Radiance sect receiving heaven's gift, I'm afraid that we would have paid more than 1/10 of the Spirit Stones, right? Du Gai's old face could not hold it in any longer. He said angrily, that was then and now. Moreover, Yun Chujio is still alive and kicking. There's nothing wrong with her at all. Your Spirit Radiance sect is going too far with this. Du Gai, according to what you said, is it our fault that Yun Chujio is not dead? Your Heavenly Gates sect openly besieged our Spirit Radiance sect's disciples, and you still have the nerve to say that we're going too far? Du Gai, we don't need to discuss anymore. See our guests out. Master Xuanyuan's face was as dark as tar. Obviously he was really angry. The elders behind Du Gai and the elders of the Spirit Radiance sect began to reconcile, saying things like, let's talk things over, and so on. Elder Chu said, two sect leaders, calm down. The bigger picture is more important. If there's anything we can discuss it. Let's see if there's any flexible method. Yun Chujio stomped her feet and said, flexible? Other than the spirit stones, nothing else is useful. I want the spirit stones. Elder Chu glared at her. Enough. The sect leader is really too indulgent with you. The sect leader will make the decision on this matter. Stay obediently. Hearing Elder Chu's words, Yun Chujio could only purse her lips and remain silent. Du Gai naturally did not want to return empty-handed, so he looked at Elder Chu. Elder Chu, do you have any good suggestions? Master Xinyuan also asked. Elder Chu, if you have something to say, feel free to say it. Elder Chu smiled and said, Sect Master, I remember that you once said that if any sect was able to give us a fragment of the Great Void Mirror, they would receive a 20% discount. If the Heavenly Gates sect were to give us that, would they be able to turn this matter over? No. Without waiting for Master Xinyuan to speak, Yun Chujio shouted with her hands on her hips, that damn thing can't be eaten or drunk. How can it be equal to spirit stones? Chapter 646. Fragment in hand. Master Xinyuan waved his hand at Yun Chujio as if he was hesitating. Du Gai and the elders of the Heavenly Gates sect looked at each other. Compared to 1/10 of the spirit stones, it was obviously more advantageous to hand over the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. Moreover, the Great Void Mystic Realm had already disappeared, so this fragment of the Great Void Mirror was completely useless. Just by looking at the fragment, one could infer that the Great Void Mirror was very huge. Even if the Spirit Radiance sect obtained the fragment, they would not be able to find the main body of the Great Void Mirror, so there was no harm in giving it to them. Master Xinyuan, what Elder Chu said makes sense. Our Heavenly Gates sect can use the fragment of the Great Void Mirror to express our apology. The fragment of the Great Void Mirror is a fragment of an ancient divine weapon, so it's better than the spirit stones, right? Du Gai said to Master Xinyuan. When Yun Chujio heard this, she was instantly unhappy. She ran out from behind Elder Chu and shouted, No. I don't agree. I'm the victim here. I want spirit stones, I don't want any bullshit fragment of the Great Void Mirror. The face of the sect master standing behind Master Xinyuan darkened slightly. Yun Chujio, don't be impudent. Step back. Yun Chujio glared fiercely at Du Gai and retreated unwillingly behind Elder Chu. Yun Chujio had an unwilling look on her face and wanted to say something. However, after being glared at by Elder Chu, she finally calmed down. Du Gai pursed his lips and thought to himself, no matter how much the Spirit Radiance sect pampers you for the sake of the harmony of the four sects, they won't completely let you do whatever you want. However, this little girl has a lot of bad ideas. I'd better hurry up and settle this matter so that there won't be any more problems. When Du Gai thought of this, he immediately took out the fragment of the Great Void Mirror and said, Master Xinyuan, since that's the case, I'll leave this fragment of the Great Void Mirror to your Spirit Radiance sect. Let's put the matter of the ancient mind trial behind us. I wonder if our earth fire supply can immediately be restored? Master Xinyuan kept the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. He nodded his head and said, Since Master Du has already expressed his apology, let's put this matter behind us. If your sect does something similar in the future, don't blame us for being merciless. Tomorrow morning we'll restore your sect's earth fire supply. When Du Gai heard that Master Xinyuan had relented, the weight in his heart was finally lifted. When Du Gai saw that the matter had already been resolved, he did not have the mood to exchange pleasantries. After saying a few words, he left with his people. Du Gai had just left when Yun Chujio, this fellow, no longer had the unwilling look from before. She smiled and said to Master Xianyuan, Master Xianyuan, your acting is really great. Quickly give me the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. Master Xianyuan did not tease her and gave her the fragment of the Great Void Mirror immediately. Yun Chujio took it and happily put it into her storage ring. She kept thanking everyone, thank you everyone. If it weren't for everyone working together, that old bastard Du Gai wouldn't have easily given us the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. This old bastard must have thought that he took advantage of me. Humph. Elder Chu curiously asked Yun Chujio, Little Jiu, what do you want this fragment of the Great Void Mirror for? Of course it's useful. Buddha said that it can't be exposed. If there's a chance, I still need to get the 2 pieces from the Skyblade sect and Bixiao Palace out as well, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Seeing that Yun Chujio was not willing to say anything more, Elder Chu did not continue asking. Yun Chujio was very glad that it was just Spirit Radiant sect. If it was another sect, they would have forced her to speak even if she did not want to tell. Yun Chujio could not wait to return and feed the Great Void Mirror, so after saying a few words she hurriedly sat on the chopping board and flew back to the dormitory. Master Xianyuan and the others had forgotten about this matter. Yun Chujio, this fellow, had completely forgotten about it too. Yun Chujio hurriedly sent her spiritual sense into it. Fortunately, the 6 mighty elephants were smart. Seeing that Yun Chujio had not let them out, they all went into hibernation. This way they could persist for a period of time without eating or drinking. Yun Chujio quickly got Furry to get a lot of low-level demon beasts from the Great Void Mystic Realm. After killing them, she stuffed them into the spiritual beast bag. The 6 mighty elephants smelled the smell of food and gradually woke up. Yun Chujio said in her heart that she had to find an opportunity to go to the nearest demon beast forest. She had to do what she had promised. The opportunity came very quickly. Yun Chuzi and the others had reached a bottleneck in their cultivation and they needed actual combat experience to surpass it. Thus, they accepted a gathering mission from the sect and went to the nearest demon beast forest to gather Japanese irises. Yun Chu came to look for Yun Chujio to go with her, and Yun Chujio followed obediently. Chapter 648. Picking Japanese irises. Master Xianyuan felt that the Heavenly Gates sect had just learned their lesson and would not make any moves for the time being. Therefore Yun Chujio nodded her head in agreement when he spoke, but she asked Feng Ming, Gung Yi and Shi Xian to follow her. Feng Ming and the other 2 naturally could not ask for more. They felt that although it was quite dangerous to follow junior sister Little Jiu, what cultivators needed the most was experience. If they had not followed her the last time, they would not have been able to break through so smoothly. The high-ranking group, along with Feng Ming and the other 2, had a total of 10 people leaving the Spirit Radiant sect in a mighty and imposing manner. Just as they left, Bai Moyu had someone pass the news to Su Yenran. Su Yenran then reported this matter to Du Gai. Master, this opportunity is truly rare. Should we make a move? Du Gai was somewhat hesitant. He had made many mistakes with Yun Chujio and each time he had suffered great losses. Should we make a move this time? Master, we can't wear the sect's disciple uniforms and pretend to be itinerant cultivators. Even if we fail, the Spirit Radiant sect won't be able to blame us. Su Yenran said viciously. Yun Chujio, there is no you with me around and there is no me with you around. I must kill you. Du Gai felt that Su Yanran's words made sense, so he said, that darn girl is very crafty. The outcome might not be guaranteed if you guys go. I'll get Elder Zhang to bring a few elders to kill them. Su Yenran nodded. It was naturally best if she did not have to appear. Yun Chujio, this time you're dead for sure. Yun Chujio did not know that danger was approaching. She borrowed a flying spirit tool from Master Xianyuan and rushed to the forest with Feng Ming and the others. Half a day later, the group arrived at the nearest demonic beast forest. The Japanese iris plant was a middle-grade, black category medicinal herb, and the guardian beast was the 2-tailed scarlet flame fox. Although these foxes were tier 4 demonic beasts, they could shoot fireballs to attack their enemies. Moreover, they could save their lives at a critical moment by breaking off their tail, so they were very difficult to deal with. Yun Chuzi and Yun Chu were currently at the 9th level of the Spirit Enhancement Realm. Yun Chulu and Yun Chuki were at the 8th level, while Yun Chuba and Qing Si were at the 7th level Spirit Enhancement Realm. The cultivation speed of all 6 of them could be considered very fast among the disciples in the same batch. However, they were still lacking by a bit when compared to Bai Moyu and the other 2. Little Jiu, how do you think Scum and the others can cultivate so quickly? Bai Moyu is now at the 2nd level of the spirit cultivator realm, and Bai Moru and Yun Chushan are also at the 1st level of the spirit cultivator realm. Yun Chuki asked in puzzlement. 7th sister, cultivation is like building a house. It's not necessarily a good thing to cultivate too quickly. Their foundation isn't stable and something will happen sooner or later. This fellow then added silently in her heart, doesn't matter for a genius like me, doesn't though, hee hee. Yes. Junior sister Chuki, the most fearful thing about cultivation is to be impetuous. Your cultivation speed is already very fast. Don't be anxious and take your time, Shi Xian said from the side. Yun Chuki nodded and said with a smile, actually, I'm already very satisfied with my current cultivation speed. I'm just a little curious. Thank you, senior brother Shi Xian. Shi Xian scratched his head and smiled. He thought to himself, junior sister Jio's 7th sister is quite good-looking. She also speaks straightforwardly, unlike some female disciples who are pretentious and annoying. Everyone soon found a small patch of Japanese iris. Next to this small patch was the cave of the 2-tailed scarlet flame fox. Although Yun Chujio could easily deal with these foxes, in order to let Yun Chuzi and the others increase their combat experience, she told Feng Ming and the others not to help and let Yun Chuzi and the others deal with it themselves. Chapter 649. Be on guard against fire, theft, and your mother. Yun Chuzi and the others' spiritual power level was similar to the level of the 2-tailed scarlet flame fox, so the 2 sides could be considered evenly matched. Yun Chujio was watching the battle with Feng Ming and the other 2 with a smile. When the 6 of them were in danger, they would come to their rescue at any time. Yun Chujio was very confident in her heart. If it did not work out, she still had 6 mighty elephants in her spirit beast pouch. If even that did not work, she still had Feng. In short, it was safe. In the beginning, Yun Chuzi and the others were indeed a little flustered. After a period of fighting, they became confident and gradually gained the upper hand. Seeing that they were no match for the 2-tailed scarlet flame fox, they ran away after breaking one of their tails. Yun Chuzi and the others happily put away this small amount of Japanese irises. However, this time the mission was to gather 200 stalks, and they were still far from completing the mission. That night, everyone found a place with shrubs to spend the night. After the bonfire was lit, everyone started chatting and laughing. Although Feng Ming and the other 2 were not very familiar with Yun Chuzi and the others, they were all young people and they quickly became friends. Yun Chujio secretly glanced at Yun Chu and Yun Chuki's graceful figures, and she thought sourly in her heart, what the fuck, why had her first period not come yet? At this rate, when would she be able to have 5th sister and 7th sister's figures? So, even Qing Si had curves, but she was still as flat as a piece of bread. The old witch called the gigolo back because she did not have good intentions. Perhaps she would use some lousy tricks like drugging him, so she had to give the gigolo some advice. Hence, she took out a voice transmission talisman and used her spiritual sense to say a few words to Di Baiming. On the other side, Di Baiming was being brainwashed by the palace mistress' demonic voice. There are so many candidates. Don't you like any of them? The fundamental sex Qin Mingzhu was not only good-looking but also had a dignified and generous personality. There was also Medicine Valley's Bailey Yen, who was pretty and lively. There was also the Yin family's eldest daughter, Yin Xinlian, who not only had superb spiritual power, but was also proficient in array formations. And, the palace mistress placed the portraits of the young ladies that she had high hopes for on the table and introduced them to Di Baiming one by one. Di Baiming did not even lift his eyelids. His eyes were focused on his nose was focused on his mouth, and his mouth was focused on his heart. His attitude was correct, but whatever you said, I will pretend that I did not hear it. When the palace mistress saw that Di Baiming was like a wooden board after she said so much, she immediately became angry. Baiming, are you listening? Mother, I only have little Jiu in my heart. If you have the time in the future, you should use it to cultivate. Di Baiming said expressionlessly. Little Jiu this, little Jiu that. What's so good about that little trash? Can that good for nothing even enter the top 100 of the Tianyuan Academy? It's simply a dream. Baiming, I'm doing this for your own good. Look at the girls that I've chosen for you. Which one of them doesn't have a good family background, high spiritual power, and is beautiful? Any one of them is stronger than that little trash. Mother, just give up on this idea. Other than little Gio, I won't like anyone else. If you're done, I'm going back to the study. Di Biming said and was about to leave. The palace mistress slammed the table angrily. Biming, if you don't choose one to date today, I'll kill myself. Let everyone see how a dignified overlord like you can force your own mother to death. Just as the atmosphere was in a stalemate, the voice transmission talisman in Di Biming's storage ring started to vibrate. After Di Biming sent his divine sense in, he heard Yun Chujia's sly voice. My dear Prince Charming, I miss you. You must remember to be on guard against fire, theft, and your mother. Chapter 650. We will never leave each other. The corners of Di Biming's eyes twitched violently, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Could this black thing have better timing? The palace mistress was shocked to find that her usually expressionless son actually revealed a doting smile. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth and asked, Who sent you the voice transmission talisman? Was it that little trash? What did she say? Di Biming was naturally not stupid enough to tell his mother what Yun Chujio said. He said indifferently, Nothing. Little Ju just told me to take care of my body and asked me to greet you on her behalf. Useless. That little trash can forget about entering our Di family. Di Biming rubbed his forehead helplessly. Mother, if I remember correctly, the maternal family is not a big cultivation clan. Back then, grandmother did not complain that your family background was not that great either. The palace mistress was stunned, then she became angry out of embarrassment. You little bastard. You actually meddled in my affairs. Although my family background is ordinary, back then, there was never a top 10 on the Tianyuan Academy prodigy roll. Otherwise, would your father let leave those 3 shameless junior sisters to pursue me? Mother, is what you said true? Was it father who took the initiative to woo you? Di Biming took out a recording stone from his storage ring without batting an eyelid. Of course. I was the pearl of the Tianyuan Academy back then. There were countless disciples from prestigious families and senior brothers who pursued me. If it wasn't for your father who begged me for nothing, would I have been able to marry him? Mother, then what's with father's 3 junior sisters? Those 3 shameless little goblins, each of them wanted nothing more than to cling onto your father. Fortunately, your father knew what mud and pearl meant. He didn't even bother with them. Mother, I didn't expect you to be so glorious back then. Father's 3 junior sisters just let it go so easily? They didn't come to look for father after that? Di Biming dug a hole without batting an eyelid. Those 3 bitches naturally wouldn't let it go so easily. They would write letters to your father whenever they had something to do. Would I let them have their way? I burnt every single letter they sent. Even the letters they wrote to your father in the past were all burned by me. The palace mistress said proudly. The corners of Di Biming's mouth curled up. Mother, I've recorded everything you said just now. If you continue to waste my time with these idiots' portraits in the future, I'll give this recording stone to father. I believe father will properly communicate with you. The palace mistress was speechless. It was not until Di Biming had walked far away that the palace mistress banged the table in anger. Unfilial son. That bastard. He dares to blackmail me. This bastard used to be straight as a board. How did he become so full of evil tricks? It must be the influence of that little trash. Those who get close to the vermilion bird will be red, and those who get close to the ink will be black. That little trash is full of evil tricks and a scoundrel. She cheated me out of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones and a white cashmere carpet. This is simply infuriating. Little trash. Just you wait. Although I can't kill you, I won't let you have it easy either. In a few days I'll teach you a good lesson. Di Biming returned to the study room and took out a voice transmission talisman. He used his spiritual sense to say, I wish to obtain the heart of one woman, and we will never leave each other. Yun Chujia waited for a long time but did not receive a reply from Di Biming. She was pouting and getting angry. When she heard Di Biming's low voice, her heart was filled with joy. This gigolo was flirting with her just because of a disagreement. It seemed that the words he read to her were not in vain. He had really opened his eyes. Chapter 651. This person can really talk nonsense, huh? There were only 5 voice transmission talismans. Yun Chujio could not bear to waste them, so she did not reply to Di Biming. Instead, she happily started to roast the meat with Feng Ming and the others. The next day, the progress was still very smooth. At their current pace, Yun Chuzi and the others would be able to complete the mission in another day. That night at midnight, Yun Chujio, who was sleeping soundly, was awakened by a small stone. Yun Chujio woke up with a jolt. Tonight was Feng Ming's night shift. Seeing that Yun Chujio had woken up, he asked curiously, "Junior sister little Jio, why are you awake? Did you have a nightmare?" Yun Chujio shook her head. "Senior brother Feng Ming, do you feel anything unusual?" Feng Ming shook his head. "No, everything is normal." Yun Chujio frowned. And Feng must have reminded her of the pebble just now. It was probably dangerous. Yun Chujio did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly woke everyone up. "Don't go back to sleep. Get up, I'm afraid there's going to be trouble." After everyone was woken up by Yun Chujio, they looked around blankly. The demonic beast forest was completely silent. There was nothing unusual. However, they were already used to listening to Yun Chujio's warnings, so they immediately became alert. "Little Black, go and take a look at what's going on. Be careful." Yun Chujio let out Little Black Bird. Little Black Bird acknowledged and flapped its wings to fly out. After a few dozen breaths, Little Black Bird flew back. "Master, there are people coming. There are about a dozen of them. It seems that their spiritual power is very high. They are all covered in masks. Could they be coming for you?" Yun Chujio's heart sank. However, it was too late to run now. She could only fight back. A moment later, more than 10 men in black arrived and surrounded Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chujio said timidly, "Seniors, what does this mean?" The leader of the men said with a hoarse voice, "What does it mean?" "Of course, it means robbing people and killing them. Prepare to die." The man was about to attack when Yun Chujio cried out, "Wait. I know a big secret that can make a fortune. Do you want to hear it?" "What big secret?" The man's eyes showed a hint of greed. "We found an underground mineral vein and are going to report it to the sect. If you don't kill me, I will take you to find that mineral vein." "Mineral vein? What mineral vein?" The man was skeptical. It was true that some underground minerals were found in the demonic beast forest by chance, but the probability was very small. "I'm not sure what kind of lode it is either. Anyway, there are many valuable ores. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. We just dug it up today." Yun Chujio took out a large pile of colorful ore from her storage ring and threw it to the men in black. "Oh my god. Haze stone, pearl jade stone and hibiscus stone? These are all high-grade ores. Oh my god, that mine can't be the legendary Hui Chui mine, right? It must be Hui Chui mine. Oh my god, we're going to be rich. These ores are even more valuable than spirit stone mines." Feng Ming and the other two secretly cursed in their hearts. "Junior sister Jio, you're really good at making up stories. These ores were clearly Little Black Rat's rations. How could there be a mine?" The black-robed men greedily looked at the ores. A moment later, the leader of the black-robed men kept all the ores into his storage ring. He coldly said, "Bring us to that ore vein immediately. If I find out that you're lying, I will let you have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death." Chapter 652. Flaming Three-Tailed Fox. Yun Chujio said timidly, "Then can you return those ores to me? We dug them out with great difficulty." "Cut the crap, lead the way." The leader of the men in black was so angry that he was amused. "Return them to you. Was this little girl stupid?" Yun Chujio pouted and led the way slowly. At this moment, her heart was broken. "Damn it, why am I so unlucky? Every time I think I can move on, I will meet people who want to kill me. Am I that unlikable? These 12 men in black should all have spiritual power at the level of a spiritual emperor. Even if I release the mighty elephant, I am still not their match. Should I use the concealment talisman?" Just as Yun Chujio was hesitating, the leader of the men in black sneered at Yun Chujio and said, "Little girl, don't try to play any tricks. Even if you have the concealment talisman, you cannot escape from our hands. We have the concealment formation plate in our hands. Senior, why should I escape? After we find the vein, won't you let us go?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and asked in confusion. "Humph. At least you know what's good for you. Hurry up and move." The leader of the men in black pursed his lips. "Let you go? In your dreams. After you lead us to the vein, you will lose your lives. Yun Chujio was worried to death. She couldn't use the concealment talisman. Now she could only buy time and wait for the small amount of spirit-dispersing pills on the ores to take effect. Then she would work with Enfeng to fight. However, their chances of winning were still slim. Therefore, to stall for time, Yun Chujio brought the black-clothed men around aimlessly. "Stinky girl, why do you always bring us to the inner layer of the demon beast forest? Is the mineral vein inside?" The leader of the black-clothed men asked suspiciously. "Yes, if we were in the outer layer, wouldn't we have been discovered long ago? We also angered a nest of mutated red-crimson two-tailed foxes. And we discovered the mineral vein when we were running for our lives." Mutated crimson flame two-tailed foxes? That's right. When we were picking Du Ruo grass the day before yesterday, we angered a nest of foxes. Those foxes all grew 3 tails. I reckon that those crimson flame two-tailed foxes have mutated. Yun Chujio said with uncertainty. What? 3 tails? Isn't that an exotic beast, flaming 3-tailed fox? Where did you guys see it? The leader of the black-clothed men revealed a greedy look in his eyes. The flaming 3-tailed fox was different from the crimson flame 2-tailed fox. It was an exotic beast that could continue to level up. Every time it grew a tail, the level of the exotic beast would increase by a large margin. If it grew 6 tails in the end, it would be an immortal beast. If it had 9 tails, it would be a divine beast. Then, do you want to find the fox nest or the mineral vein first? They are in different directions. Besides, that fox nest is very powerful. If we hadn't run fast enough, we would have been burned to death. Yun Chujio patted her chest with lingering fear. Feng Ming and the others' faces were stiff. "Junior sister little Jio, we are completely convinced by you. Oh my god, how can you lie so naturally and convincingly? If we hadn't been with you all this time, we would have believed that there was a nest of so-called mutated flaming 3-tailed foxes." The black-clothed men discussed for a while. Since the mineral vein was there and they couldn't escape, it was better to find the exotic beast flaming 3-tailed fox first. "Bring us to that nest of 3-tailed foxes first, then come back to look for the mine," the leader of the men in black said to Yun Chujio. "Alright, we've wasted this journey. Let's go. I'll bring you to look for the 3-tailed fox. However, when the time comes, you have to protect us well. That nest of foxes is not to be trifled with," Yun Chujio said timidly. Chapter 653. Luring the tiger away from the mountain. Enfeng, who had stayed hidden all this time, admired Yun Chujio so much that he prostrated himself on the ground. This ability of Miss Jio's too was unrivaled in the world. Flaming 3-tailed fox? It just so happened that she used this as a catalyst to lure a few of them away. This way Miss Jio and the others would be able to kill a few of them first. Right. Let's do it this way. Yun Chujio strolled along with a group of people towards the place where they first discovered Du Ruo. Her plans were similar to Enfeng's. She prayed in her heart that Enfeng would be smarter and lure the tiger away from the mountain. "We can still fight the rest." After walking for a while, everyone saw a red light flash in front of them. Yun Chujio cried out in surprise, "3-tailed fox." The men in black also saw the red shadow flash past them. A few men in black were tempted. One of them said to the leader of the men in black, "Let's go and take a look." The leader of the men in black thought that these little brats were no match for them. He was not afraid that they would play any tricks, so he nodded at the man. 5 of them chased after the red shadow. Yun Chujio calculated for a moment. Although there were 7 people left, they still had no chance of winning, but they had to give it their all. Otherwise, when the rest returned, they would have even less chance of winning. It was also because these men in black were too arrogant that they did not restrict Yun Chujio and the others' spiritual power. After Yun Chujio made her decision, she gave Feng Ming and the others a look. Feng Ming and the others understood and silently nodded. Yun Chujio looked at the leader of the men in black and said pitifully, "Senior, in fact, besides the ores that I gave you earlier, I still have some here. I will give them to you. You must let us go later." The leader of the men in black naturally would not believe it until he saw it. He sneered and said, "Show me." Yun Chujio nodded obediently, but a trace of slyness flashed through her lowered eyes. "Little fellow, you asked me to take it out. 1 piece, 2 pieces, 10 pieces, 100 pieces." Countless pieces of rare ores were brought out by Yun Chujio. The men in black were all dumbfounded. They originally thought that the little girl was talking about a few dozen pieces, but there were so many. The men in black revealed greedy expressions. They did not care about being modest and did their best to hoard them in their storage rings. Yun Chujio moved upwind without batting an eyelid and suddenly threw a few big sacks at the men in black. The men in black thought that they were fake and were about to keep it in their storage rings when they realized that a large amount of powder was released with a bang after the big sacks landed on the ground. Chapter 654. Best to end the battle as soon as possible. When the 5 mighty elephants heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately felt motivated. The mighty elephants were originally fierce and aggressive. After being locked up for so many years, they finally had a chance to let loose. The last time they fought in the Zhou family, they did not even have much of a chance to fight, so they held back all their energy. This time they could vent their anger on these few humans. Yun Chujio was afraid that the 5 black-clothed men would come back. She kept fighting while encouraging the mighty elephants. If the 5 black-clothed men came back, these mighty elephants would be terrified. When that happened, things would take a turn for the worst. Taking advantage of the element of surprise, Yun Chujio suddenly activated the concealment talisman. She jumped behind a black-clothed man and threw a rolling pin at him. Although the man in black did not notice Yun Chujio, his spiritual power was still high. He sensed the sound of wind behind him and dodged Yun Chujio's rolling pin. However, he did not avoid the next few lightning strikes from Yun Chujio. The man in black screamed and fell to the ground dead. The leader of the men quickly activated the concealment disc and Yun Chujio's figure appeared. "Stupid girl. You're dead." The leader of the black-clothed men threw a few wind blades at Yun Chujio. Clearly, he was overcome with anger and did not consider whether he should leave her alive or not. Although Yun Chujio dodged most of the wind blades, there were still a few that she could not dodge. However, fortunately, Yun Chujio had a defensive spirit tool on her, so she managed to block the wind blades. "You old fart. You're the one who's got a death wish. Little Geo thunderclap." Yun Chujio put away her rolling pin, then shook her left and right hands continuously. Purple heavenly lightning continuously flew at the leading black-clothed man. The two sides started a chaotic battle. Yun Chujio fought against the leading black-clothed man. Yun Chuzi and the other 6 people surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. Feng Ming and the other 2 people surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. 3 8th-level mighty elephants surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. 2 9th-level mighty elephants were attacking 1 black-clothed man each. Both sides were evenly matched. Although the opponent's spiritual power was high, Yun Chujio had the advantage in numbers. However, once the other 5 men returned, this advantage would disappear completely. Therefore, Yun Chujio was extremely anxious. This stalemate was not a solution. They had to end the battle quickly. "Xiaohei, go help Ah-san and the others. Try to get rid of that black-clothed man as soon as possible," Yun Chujio said to the little black bird with her spiritual sense. The little black bird flapped its wings and flew above the black-clothed man who was besieged by the 3 8th-level mighty elephants. It threw a huge fireball at the man. The black-clothed man leaped and dodged the fireball. The nose of a mighty elephant swung over. He hurriedly dodged again, but he did not expect the huge tusks of another mighty elephant to stab at where he landed. He quickly leaped and dodged again. Originally, he could not handle the 3 mighty elephants. Now that there was another little black bird shooting fireballs at him, he was at a complete disadvantage. Yun Chujio had sprinkled a lot of spirit-dispersing pills on the oars. At this time, the effects of the pills began to take effect. These black-robed men noticed that their spiritual power slowly drained away. A moment later, the black-robed man was hit in the shoulder by the little black bird's fireball. Following that, he was pierced through the abdomen by the tusks of a mighty elephant and died on the spot. Yun Chujio was overjoyed and said to the elephants, "3rd, 4th and 5th. Help your eldest deal with the enemy. Let's end this quickly." The leader of the black-robed men immediately felt that things were not looking good. If this went on, they would be wiped out. He shouted, "Retreat. Well, deal with this brat after meeting up." Chapter 655. Sacrifice myself. Following the leader's words, the remaining 4 black-clothed men stopped fighting and threw out a few explosive talismans. They took advantage of Yun Chujio and the others' panic to escape. Yun Chujio stomped her foot. But if Enfeng had killed a few of the 5 men, it would have been fine. If he hadn't, they would have regrouped and would be troublesome to deal with if they returned. She used only a few spirit-dispersing pills on the oars so the effects would wear off in a while. Moreover, when they returned, the mighty elephants would not do the same. Without the help of the elephants, wouldn't they just be waiting for death? Yun Chujio frowned. No matter how high Infeng's spiritual power was, he could not defeat 5 people. It would be good enough if he managed to kill one. He had to think of something quickly. It was obviously not feasible to go back and get reinforcements. It would take almost a day, so by the time the reinforcements arrived, they would already be dead. What should she do? She was worried to death. Before Yun Chujio could think something, Infeng ran over and said, "Miss Jiu, I managed to get rid of those 5 people, but they put up a fight. Have you dealt with the rest?" Yun Chujio said with a bitter face, "I only killed 2 and the rest escaped. My gamble did not pay off. I even sacrificed a lot of precious ores." Everyone was so angry that they were twitching. Despite the situation, you still focused on the ores. You almost lost your life, but money is still your priority. "Miss Jiu, how many more concealment talismans do you have?" "Only 2 left. I forgot to ask my Prince Charming for more this time." Yun Chujio took out the 2 remaining talismans. "I only have 2 left, why don't you, Miss Jiu?" And Feng's meaning was very obvious. He wanted Yun Chujio to activate the concealment talismans and escape. Although the black-clothed man had a concealment disc, its range was limited. As long as Yun Chujio was careful, she could escape. Yun Chujio shook her head. "And Feng, I understand what you mean. You don't have to say it. I won't do that." And Feng and the others also understood Feng's intention. They advised, "Junior sister Little Jiu, we will fight while we can. You don't have to consider our situations. You should leave." "Yes, Little Jiu. If you escape, you might be able to survive. It's better than all of us dying together." "That's right. Little Jiu, hurry up and leave. Otherwise, when they return, we won't be able to leave." Yun Chujio glared at them. "Even if I really could, do you think you'll be able to live in peace for the rest of my life? Stop talking. It's more important to think of a way out quickly." Seeing Yun Chujio's resolute attitude, everyone gave up trying to persuade her. "Miss Jiu, there are still 10 people on the other side. We really don't have a chance of winning. If things turn dire, I'll sacrifice myself and self-destruct. When the time comes, all of you should quickly retreat after I give you the signal." And Feng gritted his teeth and said. Yun Chujio sent Feng flying with a kick. Of course, this kick did not use any spiritual power. She said fiercely, "Is there something wrong with you? You always end up wanting to sacrifice yourself to help me. Can't you think of a way that doesn't involve giving up your life? Idiot." And Feng was not angry after being kicked and scolded repeatedly. Instead, his heart warmed. His value came from his willingness to die for his master at the critical moment. Whether it was them or their masters, they never felt that there was anything wrong with that. Now that Yun Chujio valued his life so much, and Feng's nose felt a little sore. He stood up and did not say anything. However, he swore in his heart that he would protect Miss Jiu's life no matter what. Chapter 656. Demonic Beast Stampede. Just as Yun Chujio was frowning, a mighty elephant gently touched her with its big trunk. Yun Chujio looked at it in confusion. The mighty elephant cried out in displeasure and dug its huge hooves into the ground. Only then did Yun Chujio come to a realization. She had previously said that if she killed those people, she would reward them. Yun Chujio took out 2 bottles of superior-grade explosive spirit pills and fed them to the 5 mighty elephants. These mighty elephants, they were instantly dumbfounded, had never eaten such a magical thing as spirit pills before. "Oh my, what exotic food is this? How did they eat it?" The spiritual energy was surging into their bodies. It felt amazing. The 5 mighty elephants were obviously not satisfied. They whimpered at Yun Chujio, which meant that they wanted more. Yun Chujio was not in the mood to pay attention to them. She took out 2 more bottles and threw them at the elephants, then continued to think. After the 5 mighty elephants were finished, they still wanted more. However, when they saw Yun Chujio's frown, they could only tactfully stand by the side and not say a word. "Stupid girl, I didn't expect that there was another person among you. We actually fell for your trick. Moreover, you did something to those ores. You're craftier than we thought. However, no matter how cunning you are, you can't escape from our grasp. I'm afraid that the 3-tailed fox and the Hui Chui mineral vein were all made up after all. Damned girl, prepare to die." The leader of the black-clothed men returned with the rest of his men. Moreover, It was obvious that after taking the antidote of the spirit-dispersing pill, their spiritual energy had been restored. There was nothing more to say now. At this moment the other party was on guard. No matter what tricks Yunchujio had, it was of no longer any use for her. Both sides began a chaotic battle. The black-clothed men's strength was much higher, and Yunchujio's side quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. After Yunchujio heard a scream, she turned her head and saw that Yunchuzi was sent flying by a black-clothed man's palm and crashed into a tree. Immediately after, Yunchua's arm was cut by the black-clothed man, and immediately fresh blood soaked through her clothes. Before Yunchujio could recover from her shock, almost all of her people were wounded and a few of them were lying on the ground, their fate unknown. Stupid girl, aren't you full of tricks? Let's see what else you can come up with this time. The leader of the men in black was very pleased with himself and stepped up his attacks. Yunchujio looked around. Other than her and Enfeng, who could still held on, the rest were injured, including the 5 mighty elephants whose bodies were also covered in blood. Yunchujio was angry and anxious. If she couldn't think of something soon, they would all die here. At this moment, everyone heard the earth-shattering roars coming from the depths of the demonic beast forest. Yunchujio and the others, or the men in black, were all shocked. What was going on? The demonic beasts were rampaging? The ground began to tremble. Clearly, a large group of demonic beasts were surging over here. The leader of the men in black panicked. Before the beast tide erupted, why did the demonic beasts suddenly start rampaging? A demonic beast stampede was not a joke. Not to mention us, even a 9th layer of the Spirit Emperor realm practitioner could not withstand so many demonic beasts at once. Although he was unwilling to let Yunchujio and the others go, compared to his own life, killing Yunchujio was not that important. Therefore he said to the other black-robed men, "Let's retreat and come back for them later." The other men in black had long lost the will to fight. Hearing his words, they quickly ran out of the monster forest. Chapter 657. The strange grass has done a meritorious deed. Seeing that they had left, Yunchujio quickly ran to the people lying on the ground. After checking their breathing, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Although they were injured, their lives were not in danger for the time being. Yunchujio quickly took out heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and fed it to them. Then she asked Enfeng, "What should we do? If we go out, we will die. If we stay here, we will also die." Enfeng frowned. He said doubtfully, "Miss Jo, logically speaking, before the beast tide breaks out, why would the demonic beasts suddenly start rampaging? Why don't we get on the backs of the mighty elephants to survey the situation first? Even if the demonic beasts stampede, the mighty elephant's huge body will not suffer too much." Yunchujio nodded and said with admiration, "Enfeng, your idea is pretty good. We will do as you say." Yunchujio took out the blood coagulation pills and fed them to a few mighty elephants. Then she said to them, "This time it's all thanks to you. Don't worry, I, Yunchujio, am not an ungrateful person. I will definitely repay you properly in the future." The eldest elephant called out a few times in a low voice as a response to Yunchujio. Yunchujio called everyone to get on the back of the mighty elephants. Then she was on full alert as she waited for the demonic beast stampede to arrive. However, after a long time the demonic beasts did not appear. Moreover, the roars of the demonic beasts and the shaking of the ground gradually disappeared. Everyone was puzzled. What was going on? Yunchujio suddenly had a thought. After she sent her spiritual sense into her danton, as expected, the strange grass was proudly waving 4 leaves to claim credit. "Strange grass, well done. I didn't expect that you were getting more and more powerful. Seems like now you can summon high-level beast. Unfortunately, it seems like you can't make them listen to you yet. Otherwise it would be awesome." Yunchujio praised the strange grass. Although she knew that the strange grass was a vessel to protect her, she still smoothed the strange grass fur. The leaves of the strange grass trembled a few times. Although Yunchujio did not quite understand, she felt that the strange grass was not convinced, so she asked, "Could it be that you can make them listen to you?" The leaves of the strange grass nodded and shook again. Yunchujio guessed, "Do you mean that you can't do it now, but it's possible in the future?" The leaves of the strange grass trembled proudly. Yunchujio's heart was both happy and worried. She was happy that the strange grass ability could be of greater help to her in the future, yet worried that the strange grass would become more powerful to the point she would not be able to get rid of it. However, no matter what, the strange grass was indeed of great help this time. Otherwise, she would have already been killed. And Feng, send a message to the Yun Mansion's secret guards and ask them to come over to support us. We will hide in this demonic beast forest for the time being. Those black-clothed people should not dare come in for the time being, Yun Chujio said to Enfeng. Miss Jo, I already sent a message to them when I found these people. We only need to hold on for another 4 hours and they will get here, Enfeng said. Yun Chujio nodded. Then we will continue to walk into the demonic beast forest. As long as we don't encounter a large group of high-level demonic beasts, we should be able to deal with them. We'll leave when the reinforcements arrive. Yun Chujio let the mighty elephants walk into the demonic beast forest. She was prepared to wait for the Yun residence's secret guards to arrive before leaving. Another 2 hours passed. As expected, those black-clothed men did not dare to rashly enter again. Yun Chujio's heart relaxed quite a bit. As long as she persisted for another 2 hours, help would arrive. Right at that moment, a sudden change occurred. The demonic beast forest once again emitted an earth-shaking roar. Chapter 658. I didn't do it this time. Yun Chujio was so angry that she used her spiritual sense to curse at the strange grass. Strange grass. Stop. There are no enemies now. Why did you summon them here? The strange grass shook its leaf aggrievedly. It meant that it really was not its doing. Yun Chujio's paws went numb. Fuck, did the beast tide come for real this time? Everyone hold on tight, don't fall off the elephants. Yun Chujio warned everyone loudly. She cursed in her heart. It would be great if the flying spiritual device could take off here. One day she would develop a flying spirit tool that looked like a helicopter. The kind that could take off from a small piece of flat ground. The strange grass could only disperse the demon beasts it had attracted. It had no way of dealing with these uninvited demon beasts. Now it didn't want to show off anymore. It prayed in its heart that this wretched girl would not be killed by the demon beasts. Otherwise its little life would be over. A moment later, a large group of demonic beasts rushed out from the depths of the demonic beast forest. Fortunately, the mighty elephant was huge. It was not at a disadvantage, but it could only run along with these demonic beasts. If it stopped there and did not move, no matter how large its body was, it would not be able to withstand the impact of the large number of demonic beasts. Fortunately, Yun Chujio had experienced it once before, so she was quite familiar with it. She constantly reminded the other people on the backs of the other 4 elephants to grab hold of them and not fall. In the beginning, everyone was still together, but the forest of demonic beasts was full of trees. As they ran, they were scattered. After daybreak, the wild demonic beasts retreated. And Feng and the others also met at the periphery of the forest. Moreover, the secret guards who had rushed over from the Yun mansion had arrived, much to the group's relief. However, when they counted the number of people, they found that 1 person and a mighty elephant were missing. Yun Chujio and the big beast that she was on had disappeared. And Feng immediately felt numb. It would be fine if they were missing, but where did this Miss Jo run off to? Could it be that she had been captured by those black-clothed people? And Feng's brain spun faster. Although he did not have Yun Chujio's voice transmission talisman, Di Biming did. Hence, and Feng hurriedly sent a voice transmission talisman to Di Biming, asking him to contact Yun Chujio. A moment later, Di Biming sent a message to Enfeng. Yun Chujio did not reply to him and ordered him to hurry up and find her. Enfeng was in a dilemma. If he withdrew his men and went to find Yun Chujio, the rest of them would be in trouble if they encountered the men in black. However, if he went to look for her alone, how could he find her in such a huge demonic beast forest? The 4 mighty elephants were also howling anxiously. Their companions and little elephants were still with the little girl, so they must not get into any trouble. Why was it so difficult to go home? Fortunately, at this time the Spirit Radiance Sect's reinforcements had also arrived. It turned out that when Enfeng had sent the message, he had asked a part of his men to come over to support him. He had also sent a secret guard to deliver the message to the Spirit Radiance Sect. Master Xinyuan hurriedly asked Elder Shao to bring a few elders along. Enfeng handed Feng Ming and the others over to Elder Shao and the others. Then he led the secret guards to search for Yun Chujio's whereabouts. 2 hours later, and Feng found the eldest elephant, who was using its huge hooves to dig the ground. When eldest saw Feng, he cried out and kept hitting the ground with his nose. Feng did not understand. He thought for a moment and asked tentatively, "Did Miss Jiu fall here?" The mighty elephant nodded vigorously. He watched Yunchujiu fall, but in the blink of an eye the hole had disappeared. It was fine if the little girl was dead, but his son was still in her spiritual beast bag. Chapter 659. An actual three-tailed fox, and Feng and the others immediately began digging. The more they dug, the more frustrated they became. There was no sign of loosening in the soil, so how could there be a cave entrance here? Could this mighty elephant have remembered the wrong place? Even the mighty elephant began to doubt itself. Could it be that it had gone to the wrong location? Feng and the others had no choice. On one hand they sent people to guard the place, and on the other they continued to search for Yunchuji's whereabouts. Yunchujiu, who was worrying by everyone, was looking at the group of foxes in front of her with a dumbfounded expression. But who could tell her that she was infected by little blackbirdess crow's mouth? Why did she fall into the fox cave? In a three-tailed fox cave? At that time Yunchujiu jumped off the back of the mighty elephant. Before she could stand, a large hole appeared on the ground. A white light flashed in front of her eyes, and then she found that she had fallen into a huge cave. Before he could react, he was surrounded by several flaming three-tailed foxes. These three-tailed foxes were drooling as they looked at Yunchujiu. They looked as if they were going to tear her apart and eat her up immediately. Yunchujiu shivered. Was she that delicious? She waved her hands. I'm sorry. I'm just passing by. I'll leave now." The leader of the three-tailed foxes started to howl. The rest of the foxes started to howl as well. Yunchujiu felt that the howls were a little ear-piercing and her head started to feel dizzy. Fortunately, the strange grass used its leaves to exert a cooling effect on Yunchuji's spirit to help her regain consciousness. Oh shit. The cries of the foxes were seductive. They were very difficult to deal with. Yunchujiu secretly took out the hidden amulet, then used spiritual power to stimulate it for a long time but did not succeed. She was on the verge of tears. It's over. She was not killed by those men in black, nor was she trampled to death by the demon beast Tide. She was going to die in the hands of the fox. It was her own made-up three-tailed fox. Fellow fox brothers, let's discuss this properly. Stop shouting for a while, it's so tiring. While laughing, Yunchujiu secretly observed the surrounding terrain. She was prepared to charge out first after she succeeded in her attack. Seeing that Yunchujiu was not hit, the flaming three-tailed fox king's stone-like eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Then she arched her body and made a posture as if she was going to attack and bite. The flaming three-tailed fox king opened its mouth and was about to give the order to attack, but Yunchujiu quickly threw out the corpse of a wind-blade rabbit. She was purely trying to stall for time. It was unexpected that the flaming three-tailed fox king only hesitated for a moment before it began to bite into the wind-blade rabbit impatiently. The rest of the flaming three-tailed foxes kept drooling, but they did not dare to snatch the food from the fox king. Yunchuji's heart skipped a beat. There was a problem. There was a huge problem. Logically speaking, these flaming three-tailed foxes were all level 7 demonic beasts, and the fox king was at least level 8. How could it look like it had not eaten for hundreds of years? It was truly unbelievable. Yunchuji wanted to test it out, so she threw out another wind-blade rabbit. The fox king hesitated for a moment, but in the end he still pulled the wind-blade rabbit to the other 10 or so foxes. The 10 or so foxes immediately began to bite and fight, as if they have not eaten meat in centuries. Yunchuji was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that her guess was right. These flaming three-tailed foxes must have been hungry for a long time. She had an inexhaustible supply of demon beast corpses, so she could use this to buy time. Yunchuji threw out the corpses of 10 wind-edge rabbits. Then she said to the flaming three-tailed fox king, "Brother Fox, I don't have anything else. There is plenty of demon beast meat. As long as you don't hurt me, I will provide you with food. How about it?" Chapter 660. Making a fortune. The flaming three-tailed fox king did not hesitate at all. She could not wait to nod her head. Yunchuji was even more puzzled. Oh my god, what on earth is going on? Although the level 7 demonic beasts in the demonic beast forest did not have a particularly high level of spiritual power, it was not a problem for them to hunt for food. Moreover, these flaming three-tailed foxes had a natural talent for seduction. How could they have fallen to such a state? Yun Chujio fed the flaming three-tailed foxes 2 wind-edge oxen. The foxes all had satisfied expressions on their faces, and the way they looked at Yun Chujio was much gentler. It was not that Yun Chujio had not thought of tampering with the corpses of the demonic beasts, but the current situation was a little strange. These flaming three-tailed foxes were aborigines, so it was better to observe the situation first. Yun Chujio took advantage of the time when the foxes were eating and drinking to size up the cave. The cave meandered into the distance and there seemed to be light shooting in. He didn't know where it led to. "Brother Fox, you guys have been hungry for a long time?" Yun Chujio probed the flaming three-tailed fox king. The flaming three-tailed fox king nodded. Its originally fiery red fur became even redder. It was obvious that it had been embarrassed at its situation. A magnificent exotic beast was actually going to starve to death. If word got out, it would be laughed at to death by the other demonic beasts. Although Yun Chujio wanted to laugh in her heart, her face was solemn. "Brother Fox, how is this possible? You guys are so powerful, how can you starve?" The fur on the Fox King's body was an even darker blood-like red. It struggled for a moment before turning around and running towards a bright spot, indicating for Yun Chujio to follow. Yun Chujio inexplicably followed the Fox King. The other foxes also followed, surrounding Yun Chujio in the middle and escorting her. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. No wonder foxes were said to be the most cunning. These foxes were afraid that she would escape, so they never let down their guard. After walking for more than an hour, they finally walked out of the cave. When Yun Chujio saw the scene in front of her, she could not help but be stunned. After being stunned for a while, she almost burst into laughter. "Oh God! I will never scold you again. So my previous bad luck was all for this moment of brilliance. Ah! Enrich! Enrich!" In front of her was a huge mineral vein. On the surface, one could see all kinds of colorful precious ores, just like a rainbow in the sky. This was the Hui Chui mine that those men in black were talking about. Oh my God, my mouth is wide open now. Whatever I wish for is coming true. With this Hui Chui mine, little black rat no longer had to worry about its rations. That old witch even said that I was going for the pretty boy's money. In the future I will use these ores to smash her to death. I will show her how rich a person can be. Yun Chujio had a pickaxe in her storage ring. She had completely forgotten about the current situation. She took out the pickaxe and started to dig. First, she would recover the losses that the men in black had taken away from her. Then she would start to profit from the rest. The flaming three-tailed foxes were stunned. "Are you really ignoring our existence? When did we ask you to start mining?" The flaming three-tailed fox king cried out a few times. It was only then that Yun Chujio, who was immersed in her dream of making a fortune, was awakened. She laughed dryly. "Brother Fox, please forgive me. I am someone that dies for money just like birds die for food. It is in my nature. Please forgive me. Please forgive me." The flaming three-tailed fox king looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. "Stupid human. Although this broken stone was pretty, what use was it? Could it be eaten? Could it be drunk? It was good-looking but useless." Chapter 661. Only 40 years. The flaming three-tailed fox king looked at the beautiful ores and felt a river of sadness in his heart. It was a bitter and painful experience. Yun Chujio was angered by the fox king's disdainful look. "Damn it, you little bastard. How dare you look down on me? This is outrageous. If it wasn't for me, you would still be hungry. What's so awesome about it?" However, this fellow only dared to be angry in her heart and did not show it on her face as she asked, "Brother Fox, what does this mine have to do with you guys being hungry?" The flaming three-tailed fox king's gaze became even more contemptuous, as if it was beneath it to answer. Yun Chujio was so depressed that she almost vomited blood. However, after weighing the pros and cons, she decided to swallow her anger. Since the other party did not say anything, she could only think about it herself. She rubbed her chin and gradually her thoughts became clearer. When she fell in, a white light flashed in front of her eyes. It was probably because she had activated some kind of formation or something. That was why she fell into this cave. At the end of the cave was a mineral vein. It was a completely sealed space. These foxes might have been in the same situation as her. They might have been unintentionally teleported in, but they could not find a way out. Therefore they could only wait for death there. It was just that they did not know how long they had fallen in for. Did you guys barge in here by mistake too? Yun Chujio probed the Fox King. The flaming three-tailed Fox King nodded. This little human girl isn't completely dumb after all. Damn it. Back then when I led these subordinates they were so powerful. In the first 2 levels of the demonic beast forest, they were unimpeded and were the kings and overlords. Even the demonic beasts on the 3rd level did not dare to provoke them. Who would have thought that in order to chase after a group of windblade rabbits, they would be unlucky enough to fall into this place? It was really impossible for them to get out even if they tried all kinds of methods. Fortunately, this king was smart enough to get everyone to go into hibernation. That was why they did not starve to death. If not for this little human girl falling in, who knows how long they would have slept. How long have you fallen in? Yun Chujio continued to ask. The flaming 3-tailed Fox King stretched out a claw. Yun Chujio asked, for years? The Fox King revealed a disdainful expression. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. You stinky fox, you are about to starve to death. Why are you still acting? Yun Chujio could only ask again, could it be 40 years? The flaming 3-tailed Fox King finally nodded. Yun Chujio revealed a look of despair. They actually could not find an exit even after 40 years. The Fox King was very puzzled. It was only 40 years. Why was this little girl so surprised? Exotic beasts could live up to 10,000 years. What was a mere 40 years? Yun Chujio sat down on the ground. Damn it. These foxes could not find a way out even after 40 years. Could she do it? Should she ask the gigolo? However, since the concealment talisman did not work, the voice transmission talisman would definitely be useless. Yun Chujio took out the voice transmission talisman and tried it. Sure enough, it did not work. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that her chances of finding the exit were slim. This meteor is so valuable. The person who designed the formation must design the most difficult formation to crack. With my half-baked skills, it's impossible to crack it. Sob sob. The gigolo had even told her 2 nights ago that he was only willing to be with one person and would never leave her side. Now she was unlucky enough to fall into this hole. Damn it. In more than 5 years, that old witch would force the gigolo to marry a wife, let alone 40 years. Sob sob. It was not easy for her to raise a husband slave, but now the other girls would take advantage of her. She was really unhappy. Chapter 662. You are a big liar. Yun Chujio abandoned herself to despair for a while and then she was revived again. Damn. She was a little pest that could not be killed even by lightning. She did not believe that she could not find a way out. Therefore this girl began to knock around and use her half-baked knowledge of arrays to find a way out. At the beginning, the 3-tailed foxes of Lai Yen looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation. The flaming 3-tailed Fox King looked at Yun Chujio's professional look and thought to itself, this human girl looks decent. Maybe she can really find a way out. I have to admit that humans are indeed smarter than demon beast. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. The foxes went about their business. This little girl was obviously impressive looking but useless. She did not find anything even after such a long time. If it was not for the fact that she had provided them with food and water, they would have eaten her long ago. You are a fucking liar and a fraud. The Fox King decided to take back what it had said earlier. Humans are just SOs. They're not as smart as demon beasts. Yun Chujio had lost her gusto again. She could only use her pickaxe to dig for minerals to comfort her miserable mood. Fortunately, there was an endless supply of water and food in the Great Void Mystic Realm. It would not be a problem for her to live there for a few hundred years. However, she did not want to die with the foxes. When the Fox King heard Yun Chujio's muttering, it curled its lips in disdain. We will not die with you. If you cannot provide us with food, we will eat you. Then we will continue to hibernate and wait for the next unlucky person. At that moment, Yun Chujio's heart was half as bright as spring and half as cold as ice and snow. Naturally, she was overjoyed to have dug out many precious ores. However, when she thought about how she had no place to spend her money, she immediately became listless. Fortunately, after the incident with the deathly aura, This fellow's willpower had become much stronger. After a few days of hesitation and depression, she began to revive to full health. This fellow had set a strict schedule for herself. Apart from eating and sleeping, she spent 1/3 of her time mining, 1/3 of her time searching for the formation's core, and 1/3 of her time fighting with the flaming three-tailed foxes. The foxes abandoned their moral dignity for food. They unwillingly became Yun Chujia's sparring partner. In any case, Yun Chujio had a lot of medicinal pills in her hands. Even if she accidentally injured those foxes, she let them consume medicinal pills to treat their injuries. At first, these foxes did not look up to Yun Chujio at all. Later, they realized that this little girl was much stronger than she looked and was not in the 8th level at all. Damn it, this little girl is a big liar. Yun Chujio was at the 7th level of the Spirit Cultivator realm, and these foxes were Tier 7 demon beast. Their spiritual power was basically the same. However, Yun Chujio, this little pervert, was able to deal with one fox with ease. Later on, it became a fight between one person and two foxes. These foxes were motivated by their desire to win, and they fought with Yun Chujio every day. When Yun Chujio was fighting with the flaming three-tailed foxes, she did not show any evil intentions. She relied entirely on the lightning strike and her swift movements to fight with them. As time passed, Yun Chujio felt that although her spiritual power had not leveled up, her control of the lightning's spiritual power was more skillful, and her movements were also more agile. After a month, Yun Chujio was not at a disadvantage even when fighting with 5 foxes. She mocked herself in her heart. It seemed that it was not a bad thing to fall into the fox cave. At least her actual combat ability had greatly improved. Chapter 663. Breaking the formation with lightning. The flaming three-tailed fox king saw that Yun Chujio's actual combat ability had improved so much, and it had a glimmer of hope that Yun Chujio would be able to find a way out. This little girl had a heavenly thunder root spirit and she was so smart. She would definitely be able to find a way out. However, its hope was shattered once again. Another month passed. Although Yun Chujio's storage ring had more and more precious ores, and she would not be at a disadvantage even against the 7 flaming three-tailed foxes, she still had not found a way out. The Fox King was completely disappointed. Her heavenly root spirit is only Esu. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have had any hope for her. What a waste. Yun Chujio, on the other hand, became calmer and calmer. In the end, she simply stopped looking for a way out. The flaming three-tailed Fox King thought to himself, looks like this little girl was prepared to give up. Then they will just follow her and wait for death. It was unknown how much food there was in this little girl's storage ring. If the food ran out, it would eat this little girl. Although there was a slight loss of affection for their friendship in those few days, in order to survive, one could not blame the Fox King for being heartless. 2 months later, Yun Chujio stopped looking for the foxes to fight. She knew the moves of these foxes too well. There would be no more gains even if they continued fighting. Yun Chujio began to focus on her cultivation every day. The flaming three-tailed Fox King scoffed at her. Is this little girl crazy? You have the heavenly thunder root spirit, but there is no thunder here. What are you cultivating for? This was the first time Yun Chujio was so focused on her cultivation. She slowly converted the power of lightning from the strange grass into her own. She constantly combed the thunder spiritual force in her body, allowing it to continuously cleanse the meridians in her body. The Fox King saw Yun Chujio cultivating every day and was as curious as a cat. This little girl can actually cultivate? How is this possible? This little girl is really too difficult for me to understand. As time passed, the lightning spiritual energy in Yun Chujio's body quickly gathered. She felt that it was about time. Brother Fox, I will go to the mine in a while to break through. You guys stay far away from me to avoid getting hurt, Yun Chujio said to the flaming three-tailed Fox King. The Fox King was dumbfounded. This little girl wanted to break through here? Is she crazy? Breaking through required a large amount of lightning spiritual energy. Where would you get it? Besides, what does it matter to us? The Fox King did not think much of it. He calmly squatted beside Yun Chujio, ready to watch the show. Seeing this, Yun Chujio did not say much. It was hard to persuade the damn fox. In a while you will know why I asked you to avoid me. However, Yun Chujio was not too sure. Back when she was in the fire cave when she contracted the fire spirit beast, the heavenly lightning only struck her after she left. She did not know if the heavenly lightning would directly strike down if she broke through there. Even if it did not, the dark clouds would gather together abnormally. Perhaps it could give the gigolo some hints, allowing him to quickly lock onto her position and save her. She really had no other choice. The formation there was most likely left behind from ancient times. Even Elder Chu and the others could not break it at all. They could only rely on the power of the heavenly lightning to destroy the formation core. Yun Chujia's accumulated lightning spiritual energy could have broken through to the Spirit Emperor realm a long time ago. However, she was afraid that her foundation would not be stable, so she had not made a breakthrough. Yun Chujio had specially strengthened her meridians during this period of time in order to make preparations for breaking through to the Spirit Emperor realm. When the time came, she would introduce a few good girls to him, and then she would just have to wait to have a grandson. It was great that the little trash died. Di Biming had just put away his voice transmission talisman when he noticed that a large amount of thick and heavy dark cloud was gathering there. Di Biming was stunned and then he was ecstatic. Little Jio was still alive. In the entire world, the only one who could make the heavens send out such a large amount of heavenly lightning was Little Jio. This meant that the black thing must be nearby, but because of the formation they could not find her. Di Biming understood Yun Chujia's intention after some thought. Little Jio must be breaking through somewhere. The reason why she did this was probably to use the power of the heavenly lightning to destroy the formation's core. Even if she could not destroy the formation's core, she could show him where she was. Little Jio was too smart. And Feng looked up at the thick dark clouds in the sky and saw the ecstatic expression of his venerable one. After being stunned for a while, he turned around and admired Yun Chujio in his heart. Miss Ju was simply not human, she was too smart. Even if heavens was angry, it would not have used such a large formation of clouds. Was it going to raise the demonic beast forest to the ground? Di Biming was extremely worried. Little Jio, what did you do to provoke the heavens this time? Why did it seem like it was even more serious than the last time in the fire cave? And Feng mocked in his heart. Miss Ju seems to have gone too far this time. Oh my god, with such a huge formation of clouds, no formation core can withstand it. Miss Jio, when the time comes, don't throw stones at your own feet. And Feng, take your men and retreat to the outside of the demonic beast forest. I will stay here by myself, Di Biming instructed and Feng. Your Holiness, please come with us. The heavenly lightning is coming with great force. It would be bad if it accidentally injured you, and Feng advised. I know what to do. You guys can go. Di Biming's voice turned cold. And Feng did not dare to disobey him, so he had no choice but to leave the demonic beast forest with the rest of his men. And Feng had been praying to the gods and Buddhas along the way. Please protect your Holiness and Miss Jio. Please don't let anything happen to them. Chapter 666. Heavenly lightning, help me mine. The pressure was getting heavier and heavier. The low-level beasts in the forest were all crawling on the ground, shivering. The high-level beasts were not any better off. Their hearts were about to jump out of their chests. Oh God, what on earth was going on? The heavens have never been so angry before. Which ancestor offended the heavens? Yun Chujio did not know what was happening outside. She was still scolding heavens recklessly. Heavens, you old bastard. You're hiding in a turtle shell, but you never come out even if you have the ability. If you don't strike today, just as Yun Chujio said strike, a deafening thunder rumbled. Yun Chujio was so happy that she almost jumped up. That was great. The heavenly thunder had finally struck. In the beginning, the heavenly thunder had only struck the top of the cave. It seemed that it had not destroyed the formation yet. Yun Chujio could not help but admire the person who set up this formation. The heavenly thunder had struck for so long without destroying it. It would be great if the formation was that powerful. The Fox King and its subordinates were all trembling in fear. It's too scary. We have lived for hundreds of years, but we have never heard such a dense thunder. This little girl has completely infuriated heavens. Sob sob, I wonder what heavenly lightning looks like. After the formation is destroyed, it won't accidentally injure us, right? It has to be said that this formation was extremely sturdy. After the dense heavenly lightning struck for a full hour, the formation began to crack. The heavenly lightning struck toward Yun Chujio through the crack. Flaming three-tailed fox king closed its eyes. It's over. This little girl is done for. Sigh, this little girl could be considered to have sacrificed herself for the sake of the beast. Have a safe journey. After a while, the heavenly lightning was still rumbling. The fox king opened its eyes to take a look. Could not believe what it saw. That little girl was actually fine. Moreover, she was still jumping around. At first, it thought that she was avoiding the thunder, but it turned out that she was deliberately drawing the thunder to strike those mineral veins. After striking down some ores, she put some into her storage ring. He was really busy. The flaming three-tailed fox king was dumbfounded. But this little girl was really willing to sacrifice her life for money. She actually used heavenly lightning to help her mine ores. Oh my God, could it be that the outside world had undergone tremendous changes in the past 40 years? Were humans so abnormal? Not only were they not afraid of being struck by lightning, but they actually let the heavenly lightning work for them? At that moment, Yun Chujio only had one word in her heart: beautiful. I'm simply too smart. By continuously dodging, not only can I get these silly heavenly lightning to help me release the ores, but I can also get these ores to help me block a portion of the heavenly lightning. It's really killing two birds with one stone. As the heavenly lightning bolts descended, the ceiling of the cave began to collapse. However, Yun Chujio was not afraid of being crushed to death by the rocks. The rocks above her had already been reduced to ashes by the heavenly lightning bolts. The flaming three-tailed fox king was in a miserable state. They could not withstand these rocks. However, if they were to hide beside Yun Chujio, they would not be afraid of being accidentally injured by the heavenly lightning bolts. They had to watch carefully. The heavenly lightning bolts did not have good eyesight, as more than half of the heavenly lightning bolts did not strike the little girl. They were all used by the little girl to split the ores. The flaming three-tailed fox king could only pitifully call out to Yun Chujio, hoping that Yun Chujio could help them. Yun Chujio did not make things difficult for them. She told them not to resist and then put them into the spirit beast pouch. Chapter 667. Dark clouds couldn't take it anymore after flaming three-tailed foxes entered the spirit beast pouch. They saw that there were already 3 other beasts inside. A mighty elephant cub, a fire-breathing crow, and a tailless burrowing rat. The fox king had a look of disdain. Although this little girl's abilities aren't bad, the spirit beast she took in are really bad, right? Only the mighty elephant could be considered passable, but it was a pity that it was still a cub. That fire-breathing crow and tailless burrowing rat were simply too weak. Little Black was very shrewd, and immediately saw through the flaming three-tailed fox king's intentions. He cursed in his heart, "You shameless bastard, just you wait. Wait until master leaves and see how I will deal with you. Humph. After master advances, I will definitely advance as well. When that time comes, I will beat you up until you find your teeth all over the ground." Yun Chujio did not know about the internal strife in the spirit beast pouch. At that moment she was jumping around happily, trying her best not to waste every bolt of heavenly lightning. When she left later, these mineral veins might not be able to be preserved. At that moment, if she could get more, she would get more. Tiskei, no matter who was mining, they would not be as efficient as her. A bolt of heavenly lightning would be able to produce a large piece. It was simply too satisfying. Compared to the heavenly lightning, those explosive talismans were simply too weak. In such a short period of time, the ores she obtained were comparable to the ores that thousands of people had mined for half a year. At this time, the cave had already begun to collapse non-stop, and the heavenly lightning was gradually gathering toward Yun Chujio. Thanks to her recent escapes, Yun Chujio felt that her physical strength was really great. After jumping around for so long, she was actually not tired at all. She was really pissing the clouds off. The dark clouds in the sky gradually realized Yun Chujio's intention, and they were so angry that they almost cringed to death. But Yun Chujio actually used them as free labor. She actually made them help her mine ore. It was intolerable. Hack her. Kill her. More concentrated heavenly thunder struck Yun Chujio. Of course, There were some who did not put in any effort, especially little Dark Cloud, who was on good terms with Yun Chujio. The lightning that struck down from it struck the mineral vein. The strange grass and the great void mirror in Yun Chujio's dantian had become stronger than before. Hence, the ability to absorb the power of lightning was also much stronger. It continuously absorbed the power of lightning that surged into Yun Chujio's dantian. However, this time it was obvious that Heavens was extremely angry. Almost all of the dark clouds gathered there. Streaks of purple lightning that were as thick as an adult's wrist continuously struck down at Yun Chujio, who was in the cave. Yun Chujio gradually could not take it anymore. She was also unable to jump and could only sit cross-legged. The moment she stopped and did not move, the purple heavenly lightning did not have any problem striking accurately. Streaks of heavenly lightning struck down at Yun Chujio one after another. Yun Chujio could only try her best to absorb the heavenly lightning and inject it into her dantian. However, even though her meridians had been cleansed by her, they were still unable to withstand such violent heavenly lightning. After the violent heavenly lightning entered her meridians, it continued to rampage. If this continued, Yun Chujio would explode like a balloon. At that moment, a figure jumped down from above and continuously formed seals to help Yun Chujio block the heavenly lightning. Gigolo! Yun Chujio hurriedly shouted, "Prince Charming, get out quickly. I can do it. You will be struck to death." Di Baiming was unmoved and glared at her. "Stop talking nonsense and quickly channel the thunder spirit force in your body into your dantian. When I can't hold on anymore, you will be struck again." Chapter 668. Destined for nothing. Yun Chujio felt that Di Baiming's cut the crap attitude sounded more pleasant than his affectionate words. She did not say anything more and quickly combed through the thunder spirit force that was colliding all over her body and channeled it into her dantian. Then she let strange grass and the great void mirror devour it. The dark clouds in the sky were about to explode with anger. It was not easy to kill this scourge, but this fearless one actually dares to show himself. It was because of him last time, or else they would have killed this scourge. The dark clouds vented its anger and kept bringing down the purple heavenly thunder on Di Baiming. Di Baiming was much stronger than the last time when he helped Yun Chujio to resist the heavenly thunder. After he formed a seal with his hands, a layer of spiritual energy shield appeared on his body, protecting him and Yun Chujio. However, this spiritual energy shield was extremely weak compared to the heavenly thunder. He had to constantly form seals to maintain it from being broken by the thunder. Therefore, Di Baiming's spiritual energy consumption was very high. Fortunately, he had a lot of heaven-grade explosive spirit pills that Yun Chujio refined. He poured them into his mouth one by one and barely managed to maintain it for 15 minutes. The moment Di Baiming's spiritual energy shield was shattered, Yun Chujio pushed Di Baiming to the side and scolded the clouds in the sky. "Are you guys blind? I'm right here." As expected, the clouds did not attack Di Baiming anymore and continued to attack Yun Chujio instead. When Yun Chujio could no longer hold on, Di Baiming, who had recovered some of his spiritual power, formed another seal and created a spiritual power shield. The two of them persisted for another 4 hours. However, as time passed, the two of them were getting weaker and weaker. However, the dark clouds in the sky were getting stronger and stronger. Yun Chujio's heart sank. Was she really going to be done for? She was really shooting herself in the foot. Originally, she would not have died immediately after being trapped in the cave. But now not only was she dead, but the gigolo was also going to die because of her. Yun Chujio knew that no matter how she tried to persuade him, Di Baiming would not leave her alone. Could it be that the two of them could only die together? Yun Chujio recalled the time when she was in the fire cave. The Great Void Mirror had once brought her into the Great Void Mystic Realm. She did not know if it would work this time, hence she used her spiritual sense to communicate with the Great Void Mirror. "Little mirror, can you take me and the gigolo into your Great Void Mystic Realm?" The Great Void Mirror trembled continuously. Yun Chujio knew that it was saying no when she saw the situation. It must have made an exception last time. There was no way to bring them in this time. What should she do? Yun Chujio's eyes revealed a trace of ruthlessness. She could not let the gigolo lose his life in order to save her. Since he did not leave, she could only make a move. Just as Di Baiming was about to form another seal, Yun Chujio's palm struck the back of Di Baiming's neck. Biming did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly make her move. His attention was focused on the heavenly lightning. Yun Chujio's attack succeeded and she quickly pushed Biming to the side. Yun Chujio was afraid that the heavenly lightning would affect Biming, so she leaped with all her might to a place far away from Biming. Then she shouted to the dark clouds in the sky, "Come here. Come and strike me." The heavenly lightning struck Yun Chujio again. Yun Chujio's meridians had reached a saturation state, and her whole body began to swell up. Yun Chujio turned to look at Biming on the other side. "Gigolo, although we fell in love, we're not fated to be together. I hope that we can be together in the next life." "It'll definitely crush your bones and scatter your ashes in the next life." Yun Chujio tried her best to crawl in front of Biming, but she could not move at all. Yun Chujio used her fingers to dig into the ground and moved forward inch by inch. Blood and tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. Her mind was filled with images of her interactions with Biming. "Jiggle, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been willful and playful. I shouldn't have thought that I was smart. If there is an afterlife, I would definitely make it up to you. I will never let you read to me again. I will never let you sing lullabies to me again. I would do whatever you say." The dark clouds in the sky continued to strike down lightning at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was in so much pain that she could no longer feel anything. Right then she only wanted to crawl to Biming's side. Since she was going to die, then they would die together. If we were born, then we would be in the same bed. If we die, then we will die at the same point in time. We could not become husband and wife in this life, so in the next we must meet early. We will have one heart and will never be separated. A few of the surviving dark clouds also escaped. Under the golden light, Biming's old face quickly changed back to his original appearance. Only then did the seal return to Biming's body. The strange grass and the great void mirror in Yun Chujio's dantian looked at each other while trembling. Strange grass gut were green with regret. "From now on I must make grass again." Sob sob, it was simply courting death in the past. The entire demon beast forest gradually returned to peace. And Feng hurriedly brought people to the place where they had left. However, strangely, he found that other than the scorched earth, there was no sign of his venerable self and Miss Jiu. Where did the two of them go? Chapter 671. We have become ghosts. The next day, the first ray of sunlight shone into the deep pit. Yun Chujio opened her eyes and was stunned for a moment. Where was she? Suddenly, the scene from the day before flashed in her mind. She hurriedly lowered her head and looked at Biming, who had regained his youthful appearance. Yun Chujio was stunned at first. Then she smiled bitterly and said, "It seems that we're really dead. This is the road to the netherworld, right? Otherwise, why would the gigolo have regained his youthful appearance? However, this may be good. The gigolo is so finicky. If we let him turn into a ghost with that old face, he will definitely be unhappy." Yun Chujio saw that Biming's face was covered in blood and wanted to help wipe it off. Subconsciously, she took out a handkerchief and clear water from her storage ring. Then the guy was dumbfounded. Even if one turns into a ghost, can the storage ring be used? Is this a bonus? Forget it, let's help the gigolo clean up first. Yun Chujio was about to get off Biming when he opened his eyes. Biming was also stunned. He looked at Yun Chujio, whose face was covered in blood. "Little Jiu, are we dead?" Yun Chujio saw that Biming had gained consciousness and started to howl. Sob sob. "Gigolo, I thought I couldn't hear you anymore. We are all ghosts now." Biming raised his hand to help Yun Chujio wipe her tears. He realized that his hand had returned to its original form and believed Yun Chujio's words even more. It seemed that they had really become ghosts. "Gigolo, are you stupid? Why did you save me? You were courting death." Yun Chujio's tears fell. This girl was no longer called Prince Charming anymore. She had directly called him Gigolo. Since everyone was a ghost now, she was not afraid of him beating her up. Biming's eyes were full of love. "There's no such thing as why. If I don't save you, who will?" Yun Chujio heard Biming's words and howled even more fiercely. Sob sob. Gigolo, I've let you down. It's all my fault. If I hadn't scolded that old bastard, heavens, it wouldn't have been so angry and you wouldn't have died. Gigolo, don't worry. In my next life I'll definitely make it up to you. I'll sing a lullaby for you every day and read books to you, okay? Biming raised his arm and touched Yun Chujia's little head. Cough cough, little bald head. He said with a deep smile, okay. As long as we're together. The two of them could not help but kiss. Biming turned over and pressed Yun Chujio under his body. Then a certain part of his body recovered. Biming was stunned. Yun Chujio was also stunned. The two of them realized that at that moment both of them were naked. After the two of them were stunned for a moment, Yun Chujio screamed and pushed Biming to the side. Then she took out some clothes from her storage ring and put them on. Yun Chujia's face was burning. She did not dare to look back at Biming for a long time. She was so embarrassed. Biming's face was even redder. He quickly took out some clothes from his storage ring and put them on. The two of them did not speak for a long time. In the end it was Yun Chujio who was more thick-skinned. She coughed dryly, ahem. My Prince Charming, there's no need to be embarrassed. It's not like I haven't seen it before. Biming's face became even redder. Even his neck was red. He changed the topic in a panic. We have become ghost. How can we still use the storage ring? I guess they feel that we died unjustly, so they gave us extra benefits. Biming was stunned at first, then he laughed in a low voice. Little Gio, we're not dead. We are still alive. Chapter 673. Too mysterious, Prince Charming, what's going on? We clearly flew up from below. Yun Chujio felt that her brain ached as she could not keep up with what happened. Little Gio, I'm afraid that the array formation there hasn't been completely destroyed by the heavenly lightning. It's also possible that there's more than one kind of array formation set up there. After we came out, the array formation automatically opened, so we can't go in again, Biming said after thinking for a moment. Yun Chujio was completely in awe of the person who set up the formation. It was too awesome. Even under the bombardment of so many heavenly lightning bolts, it still functioned. This formation was too formidable. However, she immediately regretted leaving. If she had known earlier, she and the pretty boy would have dug more ore before flying away. Now there was no way to go in again. Miss Jo, how did you disappear before? And Feng asked curiously. I jumped down from Auda's back and felt a white flash of light. Then I ended up in a cave. Guess what was inside? Yun Chujio said with a smile. What's inside? There were more than 10 flaming three-tailed foxes inside. There was also a huichui mineral vein. I felt my mouth open wide from the shock. Yun Chujio said smugly. Biming looked at the smiling Yun Chujio and finally heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He was afraid that after such a calamity, little Gio's temperament would change drastically and she would resort to extremes from then on. Fortunately, although she had experienced so much misfortune, other than being more tenacious, her personality was still bright and cheerful. Moreover, she still maintained a pure heart, which was gratifying. And Feng exclaimed in disbelief, "Ninth Miss, this is too unbelievable, isn't it? Are you joking?" Yun Chujio curled her lips and released a nest of flaming three-tailed foxes from her spirit beast bag. Although these flaming three-tailed foxes were unable to sense the situation outside while inside the spirit beast bag, they knew that the situation was very critical when they saw the fire-spitting crow and stone-eating rat trying their best to break out of the spirit beast bag to save their master. The flaming three-tailed fox king thought that the little girl would be struck to death by lightning, but it did not expect that she would survive. After being struck by lightning for a day and a night, she was still alive. Was she human? And Feng was immediately dumbfounded when he saw the flaming three-tailed foxes. Damn, the ninth miss actually met the flaming three-tailed foxes who was supposed to be part of her bluff. These were exotic beasts and there were so many of them. This was too inconceivable. The flaming three-tailed fox's eyes were rolling around like black stones. This little girl would soar into the sky in the future. Should it acknowledge her as its master? It was only three-tailed now. If it did not seize the opportunity, it would probably stay three-tailed for the rest of its life. If it followed this little girl, it might awaken its latent powers and become a nine-tailed fox in the future. Just thinking about it made it very excited, right? Thinking of this, the flaming three-tailed fox king howled at Yunchujio a few times before wagging its fluffy tail in a fawning manner. Yunchujio thought that it was thanking her. She waved her hands at it and said, "No need to thank me. We can be considered friends. See you later." Yunchujio held Di Baiming's arm and said, "Prince Charming, let's go back quickly. I think the sect leader and the rest will be very worried." Di Baiming nodded and the two of them walked out of the demonic beast forest. The flaming three-tailed fox king was anxious. It jumped in front of Yunchujio and cried out. Yunchujio was stunned. "Didn't I tell you? There's no need to thank me. You can go." Chapter 674. I don't want to take you in as a spirit pet. Seeing that Yunchujio still didn't understand what it meant, the three-tailed fox king cried out anxiously. Di Baiming curled the corners of his mouth. "Little Jiu, I'm afraid that it wants to acknowledge you as its master." And Feng and the guards looked at Yunchujio enviously. "Say, look at the luck of Miss Jiu." The flaming three-tailed fox was an exotic beast that could grow even stronger. If it could grow 6 tails, it would be an immortal beast. Imagine if it grew 9. Why did they not encounter such good fortune themselves? However, they said that exotic beasts were very arrogant. Why did it look like it wanted to acknowledge Miss Jiu as its master? What made them even more confused was that they heard Yunchujio say, "You want to acknowledge me as your master. I already have 2 spiritual pets, I don't want to take in any more." When Yunchujio said this, she remembered that she still had a small mighty elephant in her spirit beast bag, so she asked Enfeng, "Where are Ada and the others? I have to return the little elephant to them." "Miss Jiu, Ada and the others are in charge of guarding the front. We will be able to see them in a while," Enfeng answered after being stunned for a moment. Enfeng thought to himself, "Miss Jiu, aren't you missing the main point? We can return the little elephant later. This flaming three-tailed fox is an exotic beast, and this particular one is the Fox King. It will surely get stronger in the future, so how can we reject it?" The flaming three-tailed Fox King also had a look of disbelief on his face. "I, the dignified Fox King, want to acknowledge you as my master. Shouldn't you be so grateful that tears would flow down your face? You indeed have 2 spiritual pets, but can an ugly fire-spitting crow and a weak, tailless stone-eating rat be compared to me?" When the Fox King saw that Yunchujio had walked forward, it did not have any intention of going back on its words. It was anxious. Regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, it took an effort to obtain the best things in life. Initially, it was still hesitating whether it should acknowledge Yunchujio as its master, but it had already made up its mind. It would do what it had to so Yunchujio became its master. It howled a few times at the other flaming three-tailed foxes, indicating that they could leave. Then it chased after Yunchujio and the rest. Yunchujio continued chatting and laughing with Di Baiming as if she had not seen him. The flaming three-tailed fox king felt that his pride had suffered a serious blow, but he was unwilling to leave just like that. This king did not believe it. "I'll follow you until you accept me." After walking for about a quarter of an hour, Yunchujio saw 5 mighty elephants. When the mighty elephants saw Yunchujio, they were so happy that they kept swinging their huge trunks. They would have rolled Yunchujio up with their trunks and tossed her a few times where they were not afraid that Yunchujio would not be able to take it. Yunchujio released the baby elephants from the spiritual beast bag. The 5 mighty elephants kept stroking the baby elephants with their trunks, just like a human comforting a frightened child. Yunchujio was very grateful to these 5 mighty elephants. If it were not for them, she would have died at the hands of the black-clothed men. Also, they had helped her a lot when she killed Zhuopiaoyu last time. "Ada, the red bottle contains blood coagulation pills and the white bottle contains exploding spirit pills. I'll give them to you. In the future, I'll often come to the demon beast forest to play with you." Yunchujio took out several bottles of super-grade blood coagulation pills and super-grade exploding spirit pills and wrapped them up with cloth. He hung them on Ada's tusks. Ada called out a few times gratefully and used his nose to gently touch Yunchujio. Then he led the herd of elephants and walked away. The flaming three-tailed fox king felt a sour feeling in its heart when it saw this. This little girl was amazing. She made the violent mighty elephant so docile. No matter what, it had to acknowledge her as its master. Chapter 675. Come take a bath. The flaming three-tailed fox king followed closely behind Yunchujio, wagging its fiery red tail in a fawning manner. And Feng pursed his lips. Damn, can you have some integrity? Wagging your tail? You're not a household dog, you're an exotic beast. Even after they left the demon beast forest, the flaming three-tailed fox king still chased after them relentlessly, acting as if it would not take no for an answer. Yunchujio sighed. Sigh. I'm too kind. Since you are so sincere, I will take you in. However, if I take you in, you have to behave yourself. If you don't, I will starve you to death. The flaming three-tailed fox king hurriedly nodded. Letting Yunchujio take it in was its greatest wish. Immediately, Yunchujio bit her middle finger and dripped the blood into the mouth of the flaming three-tailed fox king. The fox king began to form a seal with its two front claws. A moment later, an ancient and complicated pattern of a contract appeared in the air and then disappeared between Yunchujio's brows. I'll keep you. I have to give you a unique name. Little Black, Little Flame, Woolly Ball, Mickey Mouse, Strange Grass, Little Quiet. All these good names have been used. What name should I give you? Yunchujio touched her chin and muttered to herself. The flaming three-tailed fox was suddenly filled with deep worry about its own name. Its master's skill in naming was really scary. I've got it. Your fur is red. You shall be called Little Red. Yunchujio clapped her hands and said. The flaming three-tailed fox king immediately fainted. It was a dignified fox king, but it had such an embarrassing name from now on. Was it too late for it to regret now? Yunchujio saw that the flaming three-tailed fox king had fainted and could not help but be stunned. She turned her head and asked Debaiming, Prince Charming, why did it faint? Could it be that it was excited because it's finally been given a name? Debaiming rubbed his nose and thought, excited? The flaming three-tailed king must have fainted from embarrassment. Fortunately, the name that the black thing gave their future child was still quite reliable. Yunchujio put the fainted flaming three-tailed fox king, who was now known as Little Red, into her spirit beast bag. Only then did she follow Debaiming to board the flying spirit tool and return to the spirit radiance sect. When Master Xinyuan and the others saw that Yunchujio had returned safely, they were naturally very happy. Even from the spirit radiance sect, they could hear the thunder that shook the sky in the demonic beast forest yesterday. One could imagine how dangerous it was. After a few simple conversations, Yunchujio and Debaiming returned to the dormitory. Prince Charming, go outside and be on guard. I want to take a bath. My body is so dirty. Debaiming nodded and walked outside. Yunchujio took out a bathtub and hot water from her storage ring and jumped in to take a good bath. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but her skin felt better. It had become white and tender like a beautiful little beauty. After Yunchujio finished taking a bath, she applied a hair growth pill on her head and took out a mirror to draw two eyebrows. Then she got clean bath water again and shouted to Debaiming, My dear Prince Charming, come in and take a bath. After Debaiming entered the room, he saw Yunchujio standing at the side calmly. He could not help but frown. Little Jew, you can go out now. Prince Charming, I said that I will treat you well. Let's start by serving you in the bath. I will help you take off your clothes. Yunchujio stretched out her hands and reached for Debaiming's belt. Debaiming quickly dodged. No need, I can do it myself. You can go out now. Yunchujio said with a smile, My Prince Charming, why are you so excited? I can't do anything to you. Besides, it's not like I haven't helped you take a bath before. Come, I'll help you wipe your back. Debaiming was about to imprison Yunchujio, this thick-skinned girl, when he heard Enfeng shouting in panic, My lord, Miss Jio, the palace mistress is here. Yunchujio and Debaiming were stunned. Yunchujio looked at Debaiming's shoulder reluctantly. Old hag, why did you come at this time? I'm so angry. Prince Charming, take your time to wash up. I'll go out and have a good chat with our mother. Yunchujio jumped out with a smile. Chapter 677. Does my new hairstyle look good? When Di Biming heard Yun Chujio say our mother, he felt a warm sensation in his heart. Then he recalled the palace mistress' reaction when she found out about little Jio's accident. He felt that perhaps the relationship between the two of them could be improved. Moreover, his body was indeed too dirty. Therefore, after he activated the protective array, he planned to finish his shower before meeting his mother. When Yun Chujio left the house, she saw a luxurious flying spirit tool flying over. A moment later, the flying spirit tool landed. The cabin door opened and 8 beautiful women came out. After laying the snow-white carpet, Manager Luo helped the palace mistress off the flying spirit tool. Although Yun Chujio did not like it, she still had to have basic manners. She smiled and bowed. Hello, palace mistress. I haven't seen you for a few days and you look even more beautiful now. Do you have a beauty formula? Otherwise, why are you getting more and more beautiful? The palace mistress was secretly happy. She had always been very confident in her beauty. She said arrogantly, there is no beauty formula, it's just natural beauty. Yun Chujio. Pretty boy, I finally know who you learned your narcissism from. The palace mistress saw that Yun Chujio was still alive. She was very disappointed. Didn't you say that something happened to you? Where's Biming? After hearing that something happened to Yun Chujio from Di Biming, the palace mistress was happy. She felt that it was better to personally confirm it. What if the little bastard lied to her? Now that she saw that Yun Chujio was alive and kicking, she was even more certain that Di Biming was lying to her. She felt even more displeased with Yun Chujio. It was all because of this little trash. Otherwise, why would Biming behave so differently recently? How hateful. When Yun Chujio heard what the palace mistress said, she cursed in her heart. You old witch, judging from your tone, why do you wish for her to die? Yun Chujio did not say anything since she was unhappy. Manager Luo placed a piece of snow-white cloth on the stone table and took out a chair with exquisite workmanship. He also took out a pot of tea and poured a cup of tea for the palace mistress. After the palace mistress sat down, she picked up the teacup and took a sip of the tea. When she saw that Yun Chujio had not answered her, she condescendingly looked at Yun Chujio. Why is this little girl so much fairer than last time? But what the hell is this bandage on her head? What is this bandage on your head? What kind of strange clothes are you wearing? You are so petty. I have a handkerchief on my head. Isn't it a rather unique style, especially those 2 little tails? Aren't they very cute? Yun Chujio said with a smile. The palace mistress curled her lips in disdain. Chic? Cute. You might as well wear gold on your face. It's simply nondescript. Hurry up and take it off. Palace mistress, do you really want me to take it off? Yun Chujio asked with a smile. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and take it off. It's really an eyesore. The palace mistress simply found Yun Chujio displeasing and took the opportunity to find fault with her. Yun Chujio sighed. You really want me to take it off? The palace mistress snorted. Why? Are you trying to go against me? Yun Chujio smiled sweetly at her and then abruptly took off the handkerchief. La la la. Palace mistress, do you think my new hairstyle is shiny? The tea in the palace mistress' mouth spurted out in a puff. Fortunately, Yun Chujio dodged fast enough, otherwise she would have been drenched in tea. Chapter 678. He wanted to give you a surprise. Yun Chujio looked at Manager Luo with displeasure. Manager Luo, how can you pour such hot tea for the palace mistress? Look at how hot it is. Manager Luo knew that Yun Chujio was giving the palace mistress a way out, so he could only say, Mistress, this servant recognizes his failings and will be sure to correct it. This servant will pour it for you again. The palace mistress took out a handkerchief to wipe the corner of her mouth and waved her hand. It's none of your business. Little trash, you are simply. The palace mistress was so angry that she did not know what to say. However, on second thought, not that this little trash had become bald, Biming might get tired of her. The uglier she was, the better. Palace mistress, do you also think that my new hairstyle is very shiny? This is the symbol of wisdom. As the saying goes, a smart head doesn't have hair. Yun Chujio said mischievously. Palace mistress, Manager Luo, the 8 maids, and Feng and the others who were speechless in the corner. The palace mistress had huge doubts about her son's vision. Son, in your path to adulthood, have you gone astray somewhere? Why do you like such thick-skinned trash? Your taste is too unique. Madam Palace Mistress, do you think what I said makes sense? Come, don't just stand there, I'll pour you a cup of tea. Drinking tea is so monotonous. Manager Luo, bring out 2 plates of desserts. Yun Chujio sat across from the palace head's wife where she shamelessly took out a teacup, poured herself a cup of tea and sipped on it. Manager Luo had not recovered from Yun Chujio's words just now, and had taken out 2 plates of pastries from her storage ring and placed them on the stone table. As soon as Manager Luo put down the pastries, Yun Chujio happily reached out her hands and picked up a piece of pastry. As she ate, she said, Mrs. Palace Master, your pastries taste really good. Don't stand on ceremony. Eat some too. And Feng, who was in the corner, felt that green smoke was coming out of Mrs. Palace Master's head. He lit a candle for her in his heart. Even though they were so worrisome, they were still tortured by Miss Jiu to the point of speechlessness. You are just asking for trouble. The palace mistress took a deep breath. Little trash, where's Bei Ming? Yun Chujio did not say a word. This old witch and the pretty boy were indeed from the same family. One called her little trash and the other called her black thing. Both of them were not good people. Little trash, let me ask you. Where's Bei Ming? The palace mistress slammed the table. You mean Brother Bai Ming? Brother Bai Ming is in the house. He wanted to give you a surprise, so he has been hiding in the house. You should call out to him, I'm sure he'll come out. Yun Chujio took a mouthful of snacks and a mouthful of tea. It was so nourishing. The palace mistress was stunned. Give her a surprise? What surprise? Bai Ming had always had a poker face since he was young. He had never said anything about giving her a surprise. Could it be that he was trying to please her because of this little trash? Although the palace mistress did not show it on the surface, she was looking forward to it. She called out to the house, Bai Ming, come out for a moment. Bai Ming had just finished showering when he heard the palace mistress calling out to him. After tidying up briefly, he pushed open the door and walked out. The palace mistress immediately saw Bai Ming's shiny bald head. She thought that she had seen something wrong and took a closer look before jumping up from her chair in shock. Bai Ming, where's your hair? Why did you become bald? You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.